Welcome, everybody, to another edition of The Fifers. Sorry, I don't have the bell. I couldn't get that sound down like Rocky does.
I'll do me little intro. I'll go ding, 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 ding. Pfeiffer's arriving. Ding. Welcome to the Pfeiffer's D991 podcast. I'm Rocky, the taco guy already. Here's Gilly, Lil Tate, and Mick. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about Afagale, Deja Vu, and the Mandela effect. But I'm also having to step away because I'm working right now. So these three guys are going to take it off, and I'll be back a little bit later to say goodbye. Have a good time and enjoy. Bye-bye.
Hey, Rocky.
I'll see you guys later.
Bye. All right. Oh, shit. All right, this just came out about the alpha-gal. There's two more ticks that will actually cause alpha-gal from you. You know, black-legged ticks and western black-legged ticks, which those, if I remember right, they're all East Coast. Because I've never seen those here. I mean, I could be wrong. They might not be in the Midwest yet. But and that just fucking goes to show you right there that, or shows me anyways, that the fucking government is behind it, weaponizing ticks from Plum Island. You know, just like the Nazis fucking did when they brought the Nazi scientists over, started that bullshit. You know, because a lot of people don't realize this, that the fact that the first noted fucking tick case, you know, tick-borne disease case, was on the East Coast in New York, not far from Plum Island. After they let them go or they escaped, one or the other. You know.
Now this here's the shit that makes you allergic to beef, right?
Yep, beef, pork, any mammal, deer, bison, you know, elk, all of it. Sheep.
Yeah, and you know, just expect me to believe that's a coincidence when they're trying to get us to eat the bugs. Yeah, okay.
Yep. Well, in the very first case of it, they say it was like early 2000s, right? No, the first case of it was in the fucking 70s. You know,
really?
Yeah. And it is all around the Plum Island area, New York area. Where was that? You know, then everything just spread down south, down the eastern seaboard, all the way out west now. You know, so I mean, I got a feeling that the government, until someone can prove me wrong that our government did not do this, right? No one can convince me otherwise about this. Because it's all funny now, all of a sudden everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people I know around here in Missouri have it now.
Serious?
Yeah. See, when I got diagnosed with it back in 2018, there was maybe a handful of documented cases here in Missouri. Because a lot of doctors did not know what to look for with it. You know, no one didn't know if it was medication doing it, right? Because if you're on medication, that's the first thing they go to, doctors do. Okay, we need to change your medication up. No one thinks about food sometimes. Now they do. You know, because Nick, I said, if you can go 8 to 12 hours, it happens 8 to 12 hours after you eat the meat. Then it's like someone give you a full bottle of corn blow. That's what it's like. You know, and that's why it was so hard for doctors to diagnose with it. And now I'm glad that they came up. Now they're doing more studies on this shit. So they're finding more ticks. So that way the public can know about this and be aware of this. You know, because we was always told that, you know, there's always a Lone Star tick, right? Now there's others documented now with this. But also, there's a bill last year, Congressman Van Drew from New York, Republican, New Jersey, introduced a bill that would add alpha-gal to the list of major food allergens. If passed, alpha-gal would be on the list of most packaged foods sold in the United States, which it did pass. But it won't it's going to be 2 years for it to come into effect on it. Which that would help out people who's truly, you know, newly diagnosed with it. Yeah. You know, so that one, because like when I got diagnosed with it, dude, I had to read through all the ingredients. If I didn't know what like Zangum was, right, I had to look it up. Or anything that I couldn't pronounce, I had to look it up to see if I could have it.
Yeah, that was Anthem gum, man. That's in. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it, but it's in hot sauces, man. It's in everything.
Yeah, but I didn't know what it was. You know, because I never really paid attention to all that before. You know.
Oh, dude, I read labels like a motherfucker now.
Well, I do too, and that's what. Not really. I mean, I eat clean, but not always eat clean. I still eat my junk food, right? I mean, I got my vices when it comes to food. You know, just like one of my biggest weaknesses right now is the Lay's Funyuns. That's actual chip form, right? Not the original ones, but the ones that ship form. Dude, that's my weakness right there. I could eat a whole fucking bag in one sitting. And I'll crush them up on salad. It goes good with some Caribbean fish dressing. Fuck yeah, man.
Fuck, dude, I'll do you one better, man. One time I took a bag of those things, crushed them up real good, and breaded some chicken with it and deep fried it.
I have too, and that works great. Yes.
So sounds good.
Yeah. So with some panko on it, it's fucking chips. Fuck yeah, man. Flour, egg wash, panko, back to the egg wash, then the chips. Fuck yeah. Dude, I did my ostrich steak when I did make a chicken fried steak with that one time. I said, let me try it. I was fucking about half drunk anyways. I was like, let me try this. Because some of the greatest things I've ever come up with food-wise that was tasting great, dude, I was either half drunk or drunk a lot of times. But then I got to remember next day, what the fuck how much did I put into it, right?
That's the hardest thing. Like, how did it come out so good and what did I use?
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest thing because I didn't wrote anything down. Now, if I'm doing something new, no matter how drunk I am, I write it down. So at least I have an idea. I'm in the process of writing another cookbook for people with alpha-gal, new recipes and shit. And we still got to get one little take together. Me, you, Marcus, get Hodges all there. Get anybody likes to cook, right? To, contribute to it.
And how Mick, how you're saying, like, eating the bugs. The thing is that we've been eating bugs for a while now. And here's what makes me upset. And like, I was hearing it too, is that, you're required to put allergens on there, but they can shift the name of the ingredient so you don't know what it was. Because like cricket protein has shifted names now. It's called Akeda protein. So if you look at, this was crazy. I heard about this last night, but it's called acacia powder. So if you see acacia powder in it, that's crickets.
Yep.
That's your cricket protein. And it's being used a lot. And then everybody knows about the red dye 40 with it being a parasite.
Yeah,
it's just like Thumper said, how Roundup is being called something else now, too.
Yeah.
It goes in the same category. Now they're, like you said, they're renaming shit so people don't fucking know.
Yeah. You catch on to one and then they switch it up. And it's kind of like the way Spice was, like they kept changing like one element in it. And then the FDA couldn't like catch it in the DEA because they kept switching. And they had so many formulas for it. They switch out one ingredient and then they keep making it. So bath salts was the same way too. And those were all big. Just kept changing the formula really quick. Couldn't come after because it was a new compound.
Yep.
Did the same thing, but it was just a different way of making the compound, balancing it out.
Well, that's where our whole RFK comes in and makes them stop doing that shit. Right.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that.
Yeah.
But you also got to undo the psychological conditioning. A lot of the food that we eat, back in the 50s, 60s, before they started a lot of this stuff, the food looked, to our eyes now, looked unappealing. It wasn't bright.
It wasn't flavorful or nothing. It was just bland.
It wasn't green. It wasn't, like all these bright colors that, tell your eyeballs that, hey, this is good to eat,
Yep.
It tasted just fine. Wasn't nothing wrong with the way it tasted, but to look at it, meat used to be fucking gray, dude.
Yeah, unless you bought it from a farmer, you had your own butcher,
Well, right, but they dye the stuff and
and that's
all the colorings.
That's like I always tell people, if it's fucking pink, don't buy it. That they've added color to it.
Usually, yeah.
Salmon's a big one because they'll feed them carrot, like carotene.
Yeah. That's farm raised salmon, too.
Yeah,
because wild salmon don't look like that.
No.
I got my flounder. I've got is a nice grayish color, like light gray, in there. Look for deals, man. Fish is good. Like just because it's frozen,
Yep.
it doesn't take away, as long as it's flash frozen out of there.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose the integrity of the fish tissue.
That's like when I get shrimp, I get the Royal Red shrimp, right? From down South America in that cold water.
Yeah.
That is the best tasting shrimp I've ever had right there. You know, it's called Red Argentina. I didn't know it was called Royal Red until Kavanaugh, Raging Cajun, told me, hey, we call these Royal Reds down here in fucking Louisiana. I was like, damn. I said, they taste fucking great. Taste like a lobster in a way.
Yeah.
You know,
like I said, you can find deals out there, man, especially if you look for like fish and shrimp and stuff. There are deals out there. Just you can't go up to the deli one where they already have them on ice, which is previously frozen. They're thawing them out. You know, if you go look at the prepackaged stuff, I got 2 pounds for like $7 of flounder.
Well, Nick, you're in a great place out there in the Northwest for fucking seafood.
Oh yeah,
you really are.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got oysters grow right up off the coast down here. Got obviously the salmon,
fucking crab, anything you want right there, pretty much.
Yeah, people go crabbing, shrimping, all sorts of shit.
Fucking squid. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is one of them, man. He's in Montana now, but when he lived here for many years, man, he's one of the fellas that if it could be subdued and killed on this planet, he was the man to go do it, right?
Fuck yeah.
Like if it could be eaten, he was shooting it or catching it. Yeah, he did a ton of salmon fishing, always getting salmon, always getting crabs in the summertime. I mean, he did it a lot.
Nice.
Hey, you can eat possum, man, as long as you clean them out with some corn.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. I like possums, man. They're so handy around the yard, man. I couldn't bring myself to kill one as much as I do love meat.
Raccoons the same way, as long as
well, raccoon, you got to boil all that fat off.
Yeah.
If you don't get that fat off, it tastes like shit. But possum, as long as it's cooked right, I've had it. That's a delicacy down here in Missouri, especially down southern Missouri. It's fucking good. But you're right.
Pretty good.
They eat the fucking ticks. But another good bird for ticks besides chickens is fucking guineas. Them motherfuckers go town on ticks. But they're fucking, when they fucking call, it's fucking annoying. You know?
You know, that's another thing too. You know, I hope RFK gets in there is reducing restrictions on like having chickens, like having chicken coops, you know, starting to self-sustain again, gardens.
Well,
you know,
some states like here in Missouri, especially in town, right? Now a lot of towns allow fucking chickens, so many chickens per per household now that you can grow your own now.
And it's fucked up because people bitch just because they're loud. That's why they're like a noise ordinance is the only reason they don't want them in town. Yeah. Like Chesapeake, literally that's why. Because people complain about the roosters and shit.
Now, if I had a bigger yard, if I had the same size yard I did in Bolton when I lived an hour north of here, if I had 6 acres, dude, I'd have the chickens again. Fuck yeah, man. Those are the best tasting eggs I ever had. You know, collect them every fucking morning. Fuck yeah.
That's the difference too. Like if you go to Europe, you know, all their eggs, they're non-pasteurized.
Yep.
There is a huge difference from non-pasteurized eggs to pasteurized because you can't keep them as long as they're pasteurized. They got to stay cool, and as soon as they sit out, they go bad.
I got a buddy about 3 miles from my house. He lives in unincorporated Snohomish County. He's got about 2 acres and about 50 layers. And I get most of my eggs from him. And you can leave them out on the counter for weeks as long as you don't wash them beforehand.
Yep.
And just wash them just before you use them. They don't go bad in the counter. The fucking yolks are orange. I'm talking orange that flame behind your head. And they taste way better. The texture's better. The better nutrient profile. I mean, everything about them's better.
Yeah.
And fortunately, one of the few things this state is getting right now, I got a neighbor, and I hear his cock crowing across the fence probably 2-3 times a day. People around here, even in the suburbs, have chickens.
Yeah. Yeah, that you know that if you go back to self-sustainment, there's a lot of people that want to do it, and a lot of people have been working on it. You know, and you don't really need a lot. I've got like the Square Foot Gardener's book, and if you look at it, gives you like how many people, like how many servings, how many people you have, how much you need to plant to kind of sustain what you need and not have waste, you know, from your gardens and shit. Because a lot of people will overgrow and then they just waste it.
Right.
It's like one of the first, well, when I was growing, people don't realize this. One of the best ways to freeze corn, right, is in the husk. Throw it in your fucking deep freeze in the husk. Leave it. Mm-hmm. And when you cook it, thaw it back out when you cook it, throw it right on the fucking grill with the husk or in the oven. When it's done right, it will slide right the fuck out. If you don't want to peel the husk, chuck it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that shit.
Them husks keep the freezer burn off it?
Yep. Oh, yeah. That's what I would do because I would play. I had like 6 rows of fucking corn. I had a big fucking garden. 6 rows of fucking sweet corn. And that's what I do. Whenever my freezer was full, then I let the deer have its own for hunting season, right? Like a food plot. But I could never get them to come up the yard when it was deer season, right? But before deer season, after deer season, motherfuckers in that garden. I was like, motherfucker.
They know.
They know what's up.
My buddy was pissed because he had all of his peach trees get eaten just recently. They fucking gnawed them things down, dude. He ain't got nothing left. So he's been
peaches for
deer.
free.
Yeah, exactly. But I was listening to last night. There was a town that did a experiment where they did all go like all natural, and they reduced their like waste by like over 80% because they didn't have all the packaging. They didn't have all this extra shit to throw away, just regular, dishes, food, and their waste was reduced by 80%, just by having their own gardens and sharing and, passing around like, itself.
And I bet you anything, whatever waste they did have, they could either compost or burn.
That's what they were doing. They were composting and burning.
Yep.
And it's like, just think about that, how much waste you could reduce just from packaging alone.
Well, I think that's kind of a, you can call this a conspiracy if you want to, right? But I think it's a kind of like a broader, kind of a long range goal of these people. If you got a homeboy with his chickens and he's got a garden and Sally across the street's got the same thing going, and like a Russian friend of mine, he's got rabbit hutches with these big fucking meat rabbits, right? So he's got fur and meat right there. You got some dude on a little more land with a cow, maybe a couple of pigs. Now all of a sudden you got yourself a proper community because people are going to each other's joints, or they're coalescing in one place to trade and to buy and sell. When you're getting your food from your neighbors, we'll call it within a mile radius, you start getting a sense of high trust and community. And I do believe the powers that be have absolutely no desire for that to happen. They want us to all remain atomized, and they want neighbors to be strangers, and they want us to snitch on each other. And I think that if you make the food supply localized like that, that undermines that whole thing quite a bit. And I think that's half the reason why what we're talking about has been happening. Because like you said yourself, growing your own food, a lot better for you. Ain't that much work. There's less waste. I mean, the environmentalists ought to be all about this shit, right? No more plastic, no more styrofoam, none of this garbage, and even if it's something recyclable like aluminum, there's no production plants to belch smoke in the air. There's no strip mines to get it. All this stuff, environmentalists ought to be like, hey, why aren't we all doing this? Well, because they don't really give two bloody fucks about the environment. What they want is control. And the easiest way to control people is to make sure the neighbors are strangers. And the stuff that you're talking about that would work so very, very well, they don't want that.
No, you're right.
They don't want healthy people either. They don't want people to be healthy with a clear head, a good brain, good nutrition, and discernment.
Yeah, also, you require the strip malls. You require big grocery. There is talk about, like, so you have big pharma. It's talking like big grocery. The amount of things behind grocery itself and the large commodities that it holds. So,
sure.
Now, Vic, have you ever watched The Lunatic Farmer from Angel Studios?
Lunatic Farmer.
Yep.
I have not.
It's a good fucking documentary. It's about this farmer in Virginia that does the best farming practice that you can do. And he's
keep talking.
And that's a good fucking documentary to ever watch. It's about all self-sustainable and all that, and how, and also the government went after him too, because
I don't doubt that,
because he was pissing off big chickens, corporations.
Really?
Yeah, and beef, yeah.
You say The Lunatic Farmer?
Yep. But it's only found it on Angel Studios.
Yeah, because he was on Joe Rogan. Remember that?
Yep. And he'd been doing farming like this since the 70s or 60s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Shenandoah, Virginia. That's where he's at.
Yeah, because he's the one that rotate. He has his coops, his chicken coops on a rotation, where he moves them around.
Every day, just like his cattle. He moves his cattle every day, too.
Yeah, I got a buddy does the chickens. You were away when I mentioned him, I think, but he's a guy I get my eggs from.
Yep.
And he's got a porta coop, and he's got it on wheels, and he'll let the chickens roost there for a while in that particular bed of land, and then he'll wheel it over, and he just moves the shit profile, if you want to call it that.
Yep. Because that chicken shit is the best fucking fertilizer out there. If you get too much, if you put too much on a garden, right, it'll burn the garden up. But if you got just the right amount, it will grow everything perfectly. See, when I had a garden, I used a mixture of fucking chicken shit and cow shit. That's what I used right there. But when I first got the garden started, because I had like an inch of topsoil, that was it. The rest of it was clay. So I did have to buy some triple 12 to put in there for that first season. After that first season, it was nothing but cow shit and chicken shit. That's it. Like my grandpa growing up, he did horse shit too on his. Oh, yeah. That's a very good one. People don't realize because he had horses and cattle, so he did a combination of the two, and it worked great.
Yeah. Well, my buddy, guy I get my eggs from, he's got a couple acres, and he's got a bunch of goats, a horse, and all his chickens. Right.
Yep.
He takes all the ruminant shit and he throws it all in the chicken coop, or the chicken run, I should say, right?
Yep.
And the chickens, what they do is they go through all the poop and they pick out all the seeds and shit, literal shit, right? Yep. And then, but that breaks it all apart, and they tread it underfoot, and the movement of the chickens turns the soil and mixes it all together. One year I grew garlic. And I said, hey, man, can I get into your chicken run and get 3, 4, 5 gallon buckets of that? And he's like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. I took that literal shit home, planted my garlic in it, dude. Bulbs, or heads rather, the size of your fist.
Yep.
Fucking super flavorful.
See, my dad, he had a garden too back in the day too. Mom and dad did. They still got a pile of fucking great big old fucking cow shit that turned into black soil.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize shit turns to soil. If you let it sit like that, turn into that, dude, that is the best planting shit to ever have right there.
Yeah, my buddy jokingly refers to himself as a poop farmer.
Yep.
He's got gardens too, and they got the animals in the back, gardens in the front. He just takes the shit and does what I said with the chicken runs, moves it to the front, grows shit in it, and
it's like my grandpa, he had a manure spreader, old time manure spreader, hooked up the horse, for the horses, right? He would. He fucking when he cleaned the stalls out, right? He'd throw all this fucking horse shit right in there when it got full. He'd spread it on the garden, fucking the pasture, everything.
Yeah. That's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. And you don't have to use, everyone thinks to fertilize that you got to use these chemicals, like for hay and all that. No, you don't have to. It's just the easiest way to do it now.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we had a farm, back home called Pinkertons, and that's all they did. They took their hogs, they got their manure, and they had the manure spreader, the shit spreader, and you go pay them to go spray the fields down. They made tons of money, and it helped grow a lot of fucking seed corn. Feed corn itself, yeah.
Yeah, back in my home, or one town over from my hometown, we had a lot of cornfields where I live. I live in corn country.
Yep.
And there was this one pretty damn big, the Hill Farm. And right next to the Hill Farm was one of those absolutely enormous buildings they raised chickens in, right? And every so often, they'd the farmer, he'd take the corn, he'd bring it over to the chicken place, and the chicken place would give him a dump truck full of literal shit. When it came time to fertilize the fields in the spring, man, that field smelt like death. But he also made the best damn corn in the area.
Oh yeah.
And those two would just trade across. That way they get the seed corn for the chickies and the fertilizer for the corn.
Yep. But what a lot of people don't realize, the smell that comes from hogs, right? It ain't the hogs itself. It's the feed when it gets wet.
Really?
That's part of it, along with the shit.
Yeah, because they're using slop.
Yeah. Because, that shit, if they don't eat it all, you get hot summer day, hot humid day, right? Yeah, the mixture of the shit, the fucking slop. If that gets, it's just nasty. But when we call it here in Missouri, you smell that, it smells like money. right there.
That's nature airs, man. That's nature air.
And that's why a lot of people don't want these big hog farms, near their fucking place, where they're living at, because of the smell. But they don't realize you got to have some of those big hog farms for production. You got to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was a kid, growing up where I grew up, I mean, the smell of chicken and cow shit in the warm months, I mean, that was just a way of life. That's not even, you didn't even notice.
But now it's all these city fucks that want to move into the country thinking, oh, it's going to be smell beautiful out here. They live next, then they try to sue the fucking farmer. Because there's one instance, and this wasn't the farmer got sued, it was a fucking shooting club where I used to shoot sporting clays at, skied at all the time.
Yeah.
These people from it was out in the middle of nowhere too. These people bought a house, $1 million house right next to the property, right? And then they sued them because of all this gun shooting, all the fucking sounds. I'm like, you motherfuckers bought this next to a fucking gun club. What the fuck you expect gonna happen? Yeah. But then they had to limit their operation. The judge goes, well, you got to limit your operation to a certain time. So, dude, we'd have fucking like skeet shoots, trap shoots throughout fucking all the way to midnight. Sometimes if there's a tournament going on, that's how long sometimes it took. To finish it.
Dude, I used to live 3 miles back when I was in New York before I moved to this state, man. I lived 3 miles from a racetrack, and over in upstate New York, they take their outlaw racing real fucking seriously. And that place would be roaring. I mean, not to where it would, bother me, but I mean, you could hear them cars roaring all the way up until 11 o'clock at night sometimes. It's like, it's where you live.
Yeah. It's the same way here in Missouri where I used to live out an hour north. Yeah. Dude, I could hear on a good night, right, if the wind was blowing just right, I could hear the racetrack 10 miles away. I think,
well, you got.
I mean, that wasn't every night, but that's what they would bring the big boys in, the outlaws, the true outlaws, bring the big boys in, right?
And sometimes Montpelier's got houses right up against the track, dude. Yeah. Right up to the property.
Well, there's one racetrack down southern Missouri, not too far from here, where me and my ex-wife would go watch races, right? Dude, I mean, there's businesses right up to it. Fucking houses, everything. But they don't care. That's what they love doing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for us in Indiana, it's the same way like you have in New York. Racing, like dirt track racing, is serious shit. So is tractor pulling. You know what I mean? People. They did put a noise ordinance in because some of the races were going till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because the way they had it set up.
That's a little much. I'm not gonna lie.
They streamlined it where they can get it down to about 11 o'clock midnight, and it's actually decent racing now that they actually have it streamlined and set up. But I mean, we get a tractor pull in my hometown in Warren, and over Labor Day weekend it goes for 72 hours solid. There's no fucking stopping, and there's houses everywhere around the track. The strip. So it's funny to watch the old timers and everybody like coming around town and watching it, and there's nobody complaining about it. And if they do, everybody's like, we don't give a fuck.
Shut up.
Deal with it. Like, move. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
But that's just the culture there. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like the culture, don't move there. If you don't like the smell of cow shit and the sound of V8 motors, believe me, the country's the last place you want to be. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Which is fucking hilarious. California, man, if you get like a few miles out of the cities, it's country areas. Yeah. Like cattle production and, all kinds of shit, man. And you're like, wow, just get out of the city for like 20 miles and you're in no man's land out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all these California fucks from the cities moving into other states trying to vote the same way. I'm like, no, motherfucker, go back to California if you're going to vote the same way.
Yeah.
We're not turning our state into a shithole, like you motherfuckers did LA, San Diego, Frisco, all that. We're not doing it. But Lil Tate's right. A lot of people don't realize that fucking California, a lot of it is Republican or conservative. But it's the cities that dictate the policy.
Yeah, that shit needs to go away.
Shit, I just seen the 2030 prediction map of electoral votes,
Yeah.
And the amount of people that are moving right now, New York's supposed to lose like 2, Florida's supposed to gain 4, Texas is supposed to gain 4, Minnesota, Illinois, I think Michigan all losing 1 seat, California losing 3, and Oregon losing 1. So if the trend continues up to 2030, when the census comes out and they redistrict, they're looking at losing and gaining spots in blue into red. So, I mean, I know it's down the road, but 5 years ain't that long from now when they redo everything.
And everybody thinks that Missouri, since you got KSC and St. Louis, right? A lot of people don't realize this, that we're actually a true red state because of all the small communities. But St. Louis and Kansas City, their fucking population pretty much outnumbers the rural people. That almost does.
Yeah.
Luckily we've stayed red. Luckily, but barely.
Tell you what, man, if you cut out New York City and Albany, New York is bright red.
Yeah.
But I mean, where I grew up, man, it was all about fucking hunting, fishing, big trucks and shit. I mean, we were country folk up there. It's mostly agrarian. It's apple orchards. It's fucking squash and pumpkins, honey production, maple syrup production, cattle. I mean, it's just a colder version of the South right there.
But a lot of people don't realize that because they think New York, right? New York City, right? That's what they think.
I get that a lot. I'm from New York. Oh, really? How was Times Square? No, never went.
I don't know.
I grew up around cow shit, catching fucking crawfish in the creek.
I've been to New York City one time during Fleet Week, and I'll never go back. Fuck that.
Never been there, never plan on going.
Now, I did have some of the best pizza I ever had in New York. I'll give them that.
That is true. Yeah.
Those fucking Italians know how to cook it. I've had some of the best Chinese there, too. I mean,
I grew up in the Italian part of town in Syracuse, and believe me, man, anything Italian from New York, it transplanted exactly into Syracuse. I mean, you just can't get that shit no place else. There was when I was growing up, there was a bakery called Columbus Bakery. The founders didn't even speak English. The kids had to run the register and speak the English because the parents only speak Italian. And it is still to this day, on my 46 years on this planet, the best fucking bread I've ever had in my life.
I was watching a cooking thing one time, and they was doing an episode on the best fried chicken in New York, upstate New York. Can't remember the fucking name though.
Oh, okay.
It's like a small mom and pop place, right? And they went to because you got a horse track there in Syracuse, right?
Yeah, what?
A horse track, right?
Well, we got the Great New York State Fair, so yeah, those fairgrounds is a horse track.
But they was there doing
a bunch of others, I'm sure. Yeah,
they were doing catering there, and everyone's like, "Man, this is the best fried chicken we ever had." I can't remember the fucking name of it though. But I remember watching it on Food Network one day because I love Food Network. So,
well, the funny thing about fried chicken is it was originally a Scottish dish, believe it or not. Scots brought it over when they immigrated. And then the Scots and the various other ethnicities up north didn't get along too well. So the Scots all migrated south. And that's why there's so many McClantons and McClintocks and shit, right? That's where
West Virginia, then Texas. But now with Missouri, see, Gillespie is actually Glaspie. That's how it's spelled. Yeah. In Scotland, that's how it was spelled.
Okay.
And then they changed it from AS to ES. They went to Virginia, right? West Virginia, that area. Then it changed to IS. Some of them moved to Texas. Some of them moved to Missouri.
All right.
And I didn't know that. I was part Scottish until my second boat, the Lamoon. There was a guy from Scotland on there. He grew up in Scotland. Gibson was his last name. He's like, you're Scottish, right? Your last name's Scottish. So he didn't call me Gillespie. He said Glaspie. He said, Glaspie. This motherfucker, my name's Gillespie. He said, no, not in Scotland, you're not. And I told my dad. Dad goes, yeah. Our family, because he's done all the research, family history, right? He said, yeah, we come from Ireland and fucking Scotland, too. Scotland and Ireland, both.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I need to get me a kilt, though. That's what I want.
Yeah. Get them on fucking Amazon, dude.
But I wish I could fly, man. I wish I didn't have this vertigo, right? If I didn't have vertigo, dude, I'll be on a plane to fucking Scotland. That's one of the places I want to go before I die. In Scotland, right there.
So do I.
Got the fucking sail there.
I don't know how I do all the water. That's the thing. I mean, that's the.
He ain't got no sea legs anymore.
Because me and you, little Tate, know the goddamn fucking Atlantic gets rough sometimes too.
Oh yeah, the North Atlantic is fucking bad.
Fuck yeah, man.
It's brutal.
Last time we did operations up there was 20 years, and man, it was wintertime, and holy fuck, it was rough. But they wanted to see if we could operate that far up north because of Russia, because we hadn't done it in so long in wintertime.
Yeah.
We stopped in Iceland, so we were up that far, up operating out over there. And holy shit, man, that was some rough. That was a rough deployment. But we got through it because we were training to unrep and, refueling with Iceland to see all the hookups and, build all that logistics. So.
Well, I ain't never sailed the Atlantic, but I've heard it can be pretty brutal, especially in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The nor'easters, come from the north and down. They're like winter hurricanes and shit.
But I didn't think it was as rough.
But you should have got those in New York because they come down.
Oh, yeah. No, we got the nor'easters every winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the Atlantic was as rough as the Sea of Japan in wintertime. Yeah. The Sea of Japan was fucking brutal, man.
It's coming out of India, too. Bengal, Bay of Bengal, yeah. That bitch was rough as hell. That's about the only time I ever threw up fucking being underway.
Yep.
Serious?
Yeah, coming out of the Gulf because it was so smooth. And as you're coming out, going that way to go east, that shit made me sick. That was one time I died.
Okay.
See, I never get seasick. I used to fuck with people who got seasick, right? Yeah. I'd have my chew in, and I'd take my chew out, and I'd put it on my tongue, like, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I was eating like,
Gilly left water. Motherfucker.
Ain't no fucking way, dude. I threw that shit up. Bittner was making fun of me. What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm laying on the fucking deck, May 1, like fucking dying.
Bittner?
Oh, yeah.
God, I remember him.
Ship it.
Or be shipwrecked, come alongside.
He was a character.
Hell yeah, he was.
He went out fighting when we were in Thailand.
Yep. Oh, yeah. He got his ass whooped, too.
Don't matter. He went out fighting in fucking Thailand.
He left. Like, he went into hiding, dude. Like, he was gone.
Yeah.
For 5 days.
Yep.
He also worked SOC unit over at the jail in Washington. Because that's like the psych ward side. And he enjoyed doing it because he's always talking about the crazies there. And, like, love being a fucking CO there, man. He was fucking nuts.
Yeah. That's where that motherfucker should have went after he got fucking busted. Yeah. Was that place? That motherfucker was a little nutty.
They fucking they set him up though.
Well, he got busted for fucking alcohol when he made chief on his next boat.
What?
I think it was David. I think it was the David R. Ray he got busted on.
He was in the Dr. Ray?
Yeah, I think he went to David R. Ray after the 5.
What do you mean busted for alcohol? Like
they found alcohol in his locker.
Yeah. Well, the story
that was half of us on deployment.
No, the story on that is they pushed the pin out of the hinges on the locker and put a half bottle of Jack Daniels in his locker and put the pin back down and then said they had smelled alcohol on him and they went and checked his locker and there it was. So that's the story that I got from other people that knew about what happened.
But Bender was a dickhead. He really was.
Oh, yeah. That's why they did it.
You know. That's like Lil jerked off in his fucking Vaseline one day.
Lil?
Yeah. He jerked off and fucking, because Bender always liked to put Vaseline on his lips. So Lil goes, he pissed Lil off. Lil said, fuck you, I'm going to jerk off. And every time, everybody be laughing like, how's my cum taste, motherfucker?
Fuck, dude, Lil's the one leaving piss bottles around too to piss him off.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot about that type of shenanigans, jeepers.
You got to be careful, man. It's like being in prison, like we were talking about this morning. Everybody forgets, like we were talking about sitting at tables, areas, engineers, and FCs at their own tables. You don't fucking sit with everybody else.
Yeah. Now we partied with everybody else, right? But when it came to chow time, everybody sat in their own little areas.
That's true.
And nobody else messed with them.
Now, when I got to Laboon, got to the East Coast, that wasn't the case on that ship. everybody just mingled everywhere. Come this chow time. I'm like, the fuck engineers ain't with engineers? Fucking topsiders ain't with topsiders? I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? In our berthing, we didn't have just a true engineering berthing. We had a mix of everybody.
What?
Engineers and topsiders too.
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
They called that battle. They called that battle berthing. So you wouldn't lose like the entire engineering group in one berthing. So they mixed, watch standers and all of that shit and called it battle berthing like itself. And that's why everybody started getting mixed.
I suppose it makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Well, like where I was at on the Laboon berthing, it was forward berthing, right? On the 5, we was back berthing. We was at the bottom. You had fucking SKs, SHs, MSs above us, right there. Then everybody else was forward, except for the females. They were aft too. Then that little bitty berth aft.
My first one on the Bulkley, we were up forward with the bosun mates.
Yep.
And they were like, "Oh, the engineers fucking stink, so them and the bosun mates can fucking stay together." We're like, "Yeah, we're the toughest motherfuckers working on this boat."
I mean, we had bosun mates, we had engineers of mine. We also had OSs, right? A couple FC guys, a couple gunners mates.
We had a couple high seamen too.
Yep. And stuff, and like electricians, they were like at like aft berth or something like that, But yeah, the topsiders, a lot, especially the FC guys or OSs, right? They had like us engineers. We come in, smell like fuel. Like, motherfucker, your shit stinks. Like, shut the fuck up, go back to bed.
That was funny shit too.
Yeah, see, I remember we were on the Fife. We were, I do believe, below the engineers.
There were no one below us on the Fife.
Okay, so combat systems was above engineers.
No, right. Combat system was up forward.
No, we weren't forward. We were aft.
Yeah, they were below us. They were on the main deck aft, like below us, because supply was up above us.
Yeah, supply was way up top.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody being, I mean, you're probably right. I don't remember anybody below us.
Yeah, because it was always bad when we had berthing wars because there was no way for the FCs and anybody to get up out of there because we locked both sides down.
That stuff. Yeah.
Can't go nowhere. We're at the bottom of the boat.
But that's also been 20 plus years too. So
yeah.
Now we used to cut through engineering berthing to get where we were going, and every now and again, since they didn't appreciate that, one of us would get caught and rolled.
Yeah. See, the only berthing I remember being below us, but it was on the backside of us, was the females. That stinky fucking little hellhole of theirs.
That was 3. That used to be a storage room because that's where 3 gens bleed air start valve was.
Yep.
That they converted that. I know what one you're talking about because before you got to the HT shop, you had to go down.
It was going down.
And then you went back. But
I never went. I never went down to fucking where FCs are at. Right, I never had a reason to go down there.
It was only berthing wars, and if they came cutting through, like Mick said.
Yeah, I remember the berthing wars. Really, no topsider except for it was us and the SHs, right, all the time, and in the deck guys.
Yeah, because they had a port and starboard door, like the fucking non-watertight doors, and everybody get on each side of those and stay there.
Because the deck, when we got into it with deck guys, that would get a little rough sometimes.
Oh yeah. That was not easy.
You remember Deese, right? Seaman D. He was a third class by then, but I don't think he stayed most of the way, right? But when we was in Japan, this motherfucker, he would be in the overhead, come down, jump on us like fucking WWF style. Those motherfuckers, I mean, they were ruthless sometimes.
Oh, speaking of WWE, did you see, how we were talking about Kane and wrestling? Yep. Did you see that he's challenged Waltz to a fucking wrestling match, a charity wrestling match?
Oh, they need to. Somebody needs to whip fucking like Paul Tibbs' ass, right? Because he put out there on fucking Gas and Newman's fucking podcast. Oh, I can whip fucking Eddie Magna people.
Yeah, here it is. So right there. So when we were talking about him being mayor, it was Tennessee mayor. So
I knew he was a mayor of some town somewhere.
So and that's when he was on Gavin Newsom's podcast, and then he's like, "I'll kick their asses," and he's like, "Okay." let's do
Let's
this.
go. Let's go.
You know, it was funny. I think it was the Undertaker. There was one of the wrestlers out there that got interviewed, and they said to him, you know, what is, you know, as far as, you know, beyond the theatrics, like, what is the strongest wrestler that you've ever experienced? And he's like, oh, Kane, without a doubt. Like, the man's natural strength was just off the fucking charts.
You was watching that interview, that documentary on A&E, wasn't you?
Oh, I don't remember what it was. It was like a
Because
clip
I've
on
never
like
watched,
Instagram or something. But
I've never
they
watched
said
that
Kane
same
was like,
thing on A&E where they do the documentary, the history and biographies, right, of like wrestlers. I remember that coming up.
Yeah, they're doing
just like the most
podcasts
freakishly
together.
strong guy.
Yeah.
You see that? They'll get each other together, like Undertaker and Kane will be on there, and they'll talk about some of their history and some of their funniest matches and shit. That's pretty good. I don't remember who does it, but
I mean, Stone Cold even has his own fucking podcast, and he's had Undertaker on there and shit. I would love to meet fucking Stone Cold one time. I would.
Did you ever see him on that show Hot Ones where they interview him while eating the chicken wings?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Stone Cold, man. He was Stone Cold the whole time, all the way down. He's like, oh, yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, this is pretty hot, but not bad. Like, he's just tossing these fucking wings back, and they're like escalating in heat, and most people are crying by now. And he's just like, oh, what was the question? Oh, okay.
See, I don't know how some of those people eat some of that hot shit on there, right? Because you know it's hot as fuck when they get towards the end. Woo, woo. I mean,
you get used to it.
I mean, I like hot shit, right? But some of that shit, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
Man, I had to. Oh, go ahead, Mick.
Oh no, I'm just saying I got some shit that's like 1,000,000 Scoville units.
I had to ban one of the kids from the bomb because he was like giving it out, and I was messer in arms because people were drinking all the fucking milk. Like, I had to stop him from doing it because we were going through too much milk, and he was this like big goofy ET guy and thought it was funny because he could eat the heat. He was just one of those guys, and he's like just dipping toothpicks in it and giving it out. And these people are like, oh, like there goes all the milk. So I had to turn that shit off and like stop him from doing it. He was getting a kick out of it. He was dying laughing. It was like his sadistic like laugh about it.
Now, have any of y'all taken that fucking one chip challenge?
Oh, the Packy one chip challenge? No, I ain't tried that one.
I've seen people fucking, just almost kill them doing that.
I got a hard time paying $25 for a chip.
Yep.
Now I did try Johnny Scoville's Tube of Terror. That's the 13 million Scoville one. Yep. I got through 2 of the nuts, the peanuts, and I had capsaicin cramps. Yep. I had to go into the shower and like throw up a little bit of this peanut and water and shit to stop the capsaicin cramps. Those are no fucking joke, man.
Yeah. Well, like Jimmy Pickles, he's got that fucking hybrid too. Mm-hmm. That's supposedly the hottest. He beat out Scoville. I mean, all that.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah, Johnny had that for a little while because it had the crystals on it to get it up to the 13. And that motherfucker was gnarly. Yeah. Like, I got a little bit of dust in my eye, and it burned for like a good hour.
Yeah. I mean, when you get that hot, right? I mean, why eat that? I mean, that's not no fun eating that shit. But it's
that ain't even pepper no more, man. That's
like, fucking trying to burn you, trying to kill you.
That's just pure capsaicin. That's just the shit that makes the food hot. It ain't actually the food itself no more.
Yeah. Yep.
Like a ghost chili, man. I got ghost chili sauce and I love it. It's hotter than fuck, but it's got a good flavor.
But if it's used right, it's got flavor.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, man. You got to do your due diligence when you're using them. Yeah. I like to put a couple of small habaneros in my chili from time to time. The wife don't much care for it, but if it's gonna be mostly me, I like it spicy. Yep. So I forgot capsaicin, the shit that makes it hot, it's not water soluble, it's an oil.
Yep.
So let's just say you chop up a bunch of peppers without gloves, and let's just say you wash your hands real good, and let's just say you got to piss real bad. Well, that water does nothing to that capsaicin oil that is still clinging tenaciously to your fingers and now to someplace else. And it's not a mistake I made twice.
I've known somebody that fucking did that shit, right? Took a piss. And they're like, my dick's burning.
Yep.
I was like, who'd you fuck? No, not from that. I didn't wash it. I got that oil from the peppers on me.
Like I said, you never make that mistake twice.
That's like, when someone has poison ivy, right? Gets into poison ivy, they don't realize it, and then they go take a piss. Now, I've done that when I was younger, when I was about 10 years old, clearing out fucking brush lines, right? I wasn't paying attention, got into poison ivy, wasn't itching, then all of a sudden, I had to go take a piss. Then a couple hours later, dude, I broke out everywhere. I was like, oh, fuck.
But did you do it twice?
No. I paid attention next time.
Right.
And that poison ivy will make your little fucking member swell the fuck up, dude.
You know what, though? Back in the day, you got that chamomile lotion, the pink stuff for that, and it worked compared to what it does now.
Yeah.
Because I had it happen, and Grandma would be like, come here, let me get the lotion out. And that'd be that pink Pepto-Bismol shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still carry some here at the house because I don't get it as bad with River. When he gets to the poison ivy, he really gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So I carry that shit at the house constantly.
All I'm saying is you ain't never played in the woods and got poison ivy, and you ain't really played in the woods.
No.
Well, I was going to say, man, the fact that your boy's getting it is a good sign. That means he's out doing shit.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. But he doesn't pay attention to what he's doing, all that shit. I'm like, River, this is what poison ivy looks like. Pay attention to your surroundings, son.
Yeah. Back in my backyard, man, there used to be these fields because we lived in our town was built in a bowl, right? So the water table was maybe 2 feet below the surface. We had a creek in the back. So in the spring months, the woods behind my house would get all swampy, right? And then in late spring, it would drain out and dry out, and it'd be, to where you could fuck around. But the nettles loved it. And so every summer, there would be this enormous, probably a good third of an acre, just nothing but nettles. And, you learn pretty fast how to navigate those things.
Ooh, nettles suck, too, so bad.
Yeah. Sometimes they even sting you through your jeans.
Ooh. Thing is, though, thistles make good tea, though.
I've heard. Never tried
I don't know how. I haven't tried it yet, but there's recipes out there for thistle tea.
Now, Mick, up there in New York, did y'all have gooseberries in New York?
Gooseberries?
Yeah.
Gooseberries?
Yeah.
If we did, I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot of that sort of thing as a kid. Okay. We had the usual blueberries, blackberries, shit like that.
But wherever you got blue or blackberries, you normally have gooseberries too.
Probably then. Probably, yeah.
Because I know, it might be a southern thing, right? Because Missouri was settled from a bunch of southerners, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a southern thing too, the gooseberry pie. So I remember growing up, my grandma would make that, right?
No, it's not a southern thing because great grandma made it in Indiana.
Okay.
I think it's more like an Amish thing, man.
But I know a lot of people, right, that grew up, in the north, right? Their family, they'd come from the south, right? Mm-hmm. They'd never heard of it. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Right.
I mean, I grew up eating that shit.
That's more like, like lost meals that you see, you'll see stories on sandwiches that faded out and shit, that you had as kids, like we were talking about, meals, back then.
I wish I had great grandma or Grandma Gillespie's fucking pie recipe for gooseberry. I wish I had that.
Apparently there is something called a Missouri gooseberry.
Yeah.
Gooseberry. It's fucking tart.
I mean, it's real tart, right? I mean, I like eating it fucking straight off the fucking vine, right? Woo. But you got to put a lot of sugar in it to make it sweet.
It's like a goddamn pecan pie, dude. Yeah, it's nothing but corn syrup and nuts in a pie crust, man. Yeah.
I love
Grandma taught me how to make that one. I asked when I came home one year. Yeah. I was like, let's make a pecan pie. And she's like, okay. She showed me how to make it. I was like, that's it? She's like, yeah. She's like a whole bottle of Caro corn syrup.
Oh.
It was oh, shit.
Yeah, here in mid-Missouri, we got pecan pie or farms everywhere. There's one town, Brunswick, that's off the Grand River. Dude, they fucking have a festival, pecan festival, every year. And it's big, too.
Pecan festival?
A pecan festival.
Pecan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because pecan trees grow native here, just like a lot of places it grows native.
Okay.
I
The
mean,
holidays when I was a kid, man, it wasn't Thanksgiving until Uncle Mike brought over his pecan pie.
see, growing up, I hated pecan pie, right? Growing up. But when I got older, right, as an adult, I love it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to feel the same way about cheesecake, man. It took me all the way up until adulthood to be able to stand the smell of it. And then one day it looked good and I had a piece and then I went back and had two more.
I still can't eat cheesecake. I still don't like it. My brother, he uses my grandma White's recipe for making cheesecake, but made it a little bit better, right? He's like, you gotta try it. I said, nope, I ain't trying it. I hate fucking cheesecake. Period.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I know why too, because I used to not like it. The smell used to
Yep.
make me sick.
Yep. Now my son, he loves cheesecake. You give him cheesecake, fuck, he devours that shit. You know. Little Tate, you feel better?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I just got to get up, moving around, motherfucker.
I know, I'm starting to feel
son of a
better.
bitch, we talked till like 6 o'clock this morning,
I
motherfucker.
know. For
Went through a
5 fucking
shitload of beer.
hours. You know, we didn't even realize we was on the phone for 5 hours last yesterday.
No, it was like 6, bro.
I know. I mean,
Like 2 old ladies on the fucking phone.
fuck. Then I woke up, you know, right after you texted me. I mean, everything was fucking spinning. I was like, oh, fuck.
Man, I was in the high school parking lot picking up Liam. I'm sitting there like, oh God.
And then I let Zeus out because Zeus was like, I gotta go out. I was like, okay. I let him out. Dude, everything was spinning. I was like, oh, this is not good.
Fucking vertigo going off and shit.
Oh, my God. No, this wasn't the vertigo. This was that fucking, when you drink too much, spinning. That's what that
Get
was.
the spins.
Yeah. But see,
I gotta lay to one side.
See, I get the spins with the vertigo too.
Yeah.
But I know the difference between the drunk ones and the vertigo ones.
That's honestly why my brother doesn't like drinking anymore, because it gives him the spins really bad.
Yeah.
And like it gets really bad for him because he'll get real bad earaches. Yeah. So his balance is already off from it. So when the spins happen, it gets really bad for him. So
but I didn't realize how much I drank just bullshit with you last night. I did.
Well, I know. Like I said, 2 old ladies on the fucking phone.
See, Mick, and that's one of the reasons why me and Little Tate came up with this idea, get everybody together, you know, on a podcast, because we talk 5, 6 hours, sometimes 7 hours.
Might as well just bullshit. Yeah, might as well broadcast it.
Yeah.
What the first one was like 4.5 hours, almost 5. Like we're gonna cut this back a little bit.
Yeah. We just kept going.
Fuck. Guys, I forgot something, man. I gotta get that jerky in the oven. I'll see you guys in about 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Now, Little Tate, what about Deja Vu that you got?
Well, you know, since we're all talking about memories and shit like that, and I know everybody's probably heard like Deja Vu, and you know it. What's interesting when I was looking at it a little bit closer. Hold on, I'll pull it up really quick. I found that it's not new. Like this isn't a new study or anything like that. If you look right here, St. Augustine, an ancient philosopher, first referred to the concept of deja vu in 400 AD as a false memory.
Oh, shit. Ooh.
So, and then the philosopher Emily Bork was first to use the term in deja vu in 1890. So,
oh shit,
it's been around for a long time. And a lot of people will, you know, go back and forth. You can see different types of deja vu and through here. This is a really good one because it's very well mined that talks about it. And you're hearing, you know, more and more and more, you know, about it happening. And it became famous when you remember like the Matrix.
Yeah.
And he's seen the cat and he's like, oh, deja vu. And they're like, oh shit. That means there's been a change. So it's interesting when you kind of pull like the studies that have been on it, you know, how the mind works. Some people will believe, like I've had it happen. I know everybody's seen something or felt like they've been in the same place before. And, you know, like my old man, with him being a paramedic and stuff and going through a lot of neurological for training, was like, oh, it's just your brain, like your left half catching up with your right half. And it's interesting because that can happen. Like you see it for a split second, the other side's like it catches back up really quick. And you're like, well, you know, and some of them are like, you know, pretty vivid. So you don't know it's kind of like walking into your room and you forgot what you're walking in there for. You're like, what the fuck did I come in here for? Never mind. And then you leave, and then you're like standing around, you're like, oh fuck, that's what I was going in for. It has to come back to you.
I don't know if this would be deja vu or not, but this is when I was still working at the power plant. I was in operations, and operations on Unit 3, we got these big old coal pulverizers, right? Coal gets, ground up like flour, like a dust. It gets put up, pumped up there through air to the burners, right? For firing. Well, I was having the drill. I woke up, that fucking one of them blew up on me one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next, when I went to work that day, one of them did. Blew up on me. I had just walked away from that fucker right when they started it. I just walked away, and that motherfucker went boom.
That's like, that borders line like premonition.
Yeah. I said, I don't know if that'd be deja vu or not, something like that, but God damn.
And, it's very interesting when you get into a lot of the theories like quantum physics and shit.
Yeah.
And parallel universes and simulation theory. And, there's a lot of them. And I've gotten to the point over the years that I don't believe in coincidence anymore. I used to believe like things just happen happenstance. But when it happens more and more, you're like, all right, and some people say you're drawing a line between it, but, grandma always used to say everything happens for a reason. And she was, very devout Presbyterian church. And, she believed that everything happened for a reason, whether it's good or bad at the time. Like we were talking about, we talk about bad things happening to people. And like, why would you let this happen? And, it is what it is. That can be argued forever,
And that's why a lot of people don't believe in God because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I went through that same phase. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to get all biblical, but when that fucking polarizer blew up on me, I was out the building, right? I was out the fucking building. Everyone's like, I was shaking.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, where you at? And that brought memories back from the Navy, too. And that probably was the start of, because when I got out, I oppressed all those memories, right? I said, I'm out. I don't have to deal with this more. Why think about it, right? So I had that all compartmentalized, right? But when that happened, everything fucking started flooding back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize what it was at the time. And that's when I really started drinking a hell of a lot more too. After that.
Yeah, if you read the article, it'll talk about like anxiety and depression and shifts in the chemical brain makeup and things like that. So you can go in the scientific route and kind of get an idea of it, but there's still things that we're finding now that just science can't, explain.
Yeah, like the VA doctors, they put me as mine was delayed PTSD, which some people does. It doesn't happen until years later, but it has to have one effect. Once bad situation happened to you to bring all that shit back.
Yeah, I had that happen with mine. My assessment before I got out was like, I developed bipolar 1.
Yeah.
They were like, I was never diagnosed with it anywhere else. And then towards the end of my career, I went through, you go through mental evaluation.
Yeah.
And this was after my mom passed away in the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And, the assessor, after going through everything, he's like, you're like borderline bipolar 1, like you're like right on the edge. Like I can take you either way with it, because you exhibit, the symptoms for it, So, and we knew at the time, bipolar 1, you have to go through a medical review.
Yep.
So he was like, well, I'll give you cyclothymic disorder, which is like just below bipolar 1, and went from there. So, and that developed later on, in the career, who knows when, it actually happened, but you could always have, like a mental issue, and then it's triggered.
Yep.
And then now, you know what I mean? Like an instant, like you're saying, it happens. And, there's a lot of people that still don't understand where it comes from. I went through the post-traumatic evaluation disorder. And because mine didn't have like specific triggers, they didn't take me on as that, as part of my transition. So, you know, they go like you go through a battery of stuff that people don't realize, and you
Oh, yeah.
have to be honest about that. And you know,
Yeah.
deja vu, you know, getting back onto that is like one
Yeah.
of those things that you may want to look at that's caught, you know, if you're having it happen a lot, you know, people will tag it up to like visible hallucinations and schizophrenia and all this shit they've had
Yeah.
around forever. But it's just
Well,
interesting that it
yeah.
was around, they were talking about it in 400 AD,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
it's just like there's the times I've been in the store, right? Before I get to the store, it's something I'm thinking of something, right? That's made, my mind's going somewhere, right? And then it happens in the store. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
You ever get that while you're driving too? You're like, if I
Yeah.
would have left like 2 minutes later, like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have, you know, been in this instance and stuff like that. And you're like, when you start looking at timelines, especially, you know, that shifts everything around.
And
Just like for you.
and I'm starting to think too that there is alternate realities too.
Yeah.
Just like on the Y-Files, how AJ talks about this one guy, he got hit by lightning, right? They got transported to another reality. Same town, same area, but different, no one knew who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
Then he got transported back to his own reality, found that same hospital, the same doctor. Doctor didn't have no record of it, period. And that was in New York somewhere. That happened.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I don't know if you remember the TV show Sliders.
Yeah.
Sliders was all about transporting to parallel universes, and then you had Quantum Leap.
Yes,
which
I love that one.
Yeah, he was going through in different people, and
Yep.
kind of like changing, alternate realities to get back home.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of older shows that have been on this before. You know what I mean? Like it's
before it became popular.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever watch the new Quantum Leap?
The who?
The new Quantum Leap?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Dude, I loved it. I mean, it wasn't as good as the original, right? Nothing's going to be as good as the original. But I like that, what they did, right? And of course, they fucking cancel it. I'm like, motherfucker.
Because people weren't interested anymore. Everybody just.
But at least they made the ending a lot better than the first one.
Yeah.
At least you had a closure. I'd say closure, right?
Is that the right word? No, it's an interesting subject, and I think more people should, take advantage of it and talk about it. Tell stories, because, I mean, it's happened so many times. It's just like, all right, now it's like an everyday occurrence. But some of them are very, like, I've had like walking in and doing certain things. Like the other day, I was opening up the fridge to grab something, and like all of it was already there. Like I had done it already before. And that's what they try to say, like the old man said, your brain's catching up with itself. And it's a possibility that it could, but it falls into that premonition, and like we were talking earlier, it feeds in the Mandela effect, like we were getting ready to discuss. And for anybody that doesn't know the Mandela effect, it's a very interesting, because, we're about the same ages, a lot of people that we're talking to, same ages, so we grew up around the same time periods. But the Mandela's effect is what you remember something as, but it wasn't really that. They say it's something different, and I will argue this one forever. You know what I mean? Like, if you go down to this one, especially right here, the Fruit of the Loom one, I love this, because me and my brother have talked about this one forever. And that cornucopia is always one that's in there. And that's what the Mandela effect is. The Mandela effect came from people remembering Mandela dying in prison, but he actually lived. So there's like two versions of the Mandela story. So that's where you hear the Mandela effect. And if you don't know who Nelson Mandela was, he was a civil rights activist in Africa.
South Africa, actually.
Yeah, South Africa, and he was jailed. So
he was president too at one time.
Yeah. So that's where that term's coined from.
Yep. Now go back up where it had Henry VIII.
That's the very first one. This is about
turkey leg. What the fuck?
Turkey leg. You know, people in memory have the portrait of Henry VIII featuring him holding a turkey leg. No such painting has ever existed. You know,
I'm gonna call bullshit on that one because
the biggest one is Star Wars, dude. Luke, I am your father. One
but
like, go ahead.
But the turkey leg thing, I got a feeling it exists. It's in a private collection somewhere.
It's a possibility. I mean,
you know, that's why I said bullshit on that one, though, right? Because I mean, it could exist. You know?
Yeah, and
go back to Star Wars.
Thing. So the Star Wars one is the big controversy. Is like, you know,
Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah, and he doesn't actually say that. You know, the line was actually, "No, I am your father."
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, you know, that's a huge one. Mirror, mirror on the wall is another one. You know, from Snow White. Oscar Mayer was interesting. I remember it being with an E. I don't remember it being an A.
Yeah, I remember with an E, not an A.
But then you look at the Wienermobile down here, and it's
but that's like the original one right there.
Yeah,
or one of the first ones right there.
Yeah, so it's interesting, like childhood, because we all ate like, I know I ate a shitload of bologna.
Oh, I did too.
Oscar Mayer
fried bologna was the best right there. Fried bologna
with some mustard and toasted bread.
Mine was ketchup and fucking chips put all there like a sandwich and crunched up. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, fellas. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Right.
So what'd you do? Put your jerky in the oven or dehydrator?
Oven.
I've never had much luck in the oven on jerky.
I neither have either, with even the prop and the door open.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to set it down to about 170, 175, prop the door open, and about 4 hours usually does it.
See, like when I do jerky, I do mine about 140, right? On a dehydrator. Now, when I had the Pit Boss pellet smoker, I had that smoke cabinet on mine at the very top.
Yeah.
And I can control that bitch perfectly, get that nice smoke flavor into it at 140. You know.
Take a while at 140, though.
Now, what kind of marinade are you using? Teriyaki, what?
Well, you expect me to tell you my secrets? Now, what I do is, after I got it all sliced up, I take a plastic bag, a big one. I usually do about, before drying, about 5 pounds at a time.
Yep.
And I put in Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, bourbon whiskey, and then all my spices. And then I top it all off with filtered water just to get the marinade all around it. Squish the air out of the bag, give it a good roll, and let it sit overnight.
Yep. See, like when I make jerky, I use right now instead of, because I always made mine with deer, right? Until I had the Alpha-Gale. I would use ground deer, just pure ground deer, right? Put my spices in there, right? No marinade, just spices, right?
Ground.
And then press it out, into like a jerky shape.
Yeah.
Or put the jerky gun, right? Make Slim Jims or whatever. Now I do that with my EBU. Just get pure EBU beef, no fat in it, nothing. And it tastes like, River goes, he goes, Dad, this tastes just like deer jerky. I said, okay, good.
Huh.
But I press mine or put in the jerky gun for the strips or the fucking like Slim Jim. I call them Slim Jims.
So you can do that with ground beef, huh?
Yeah. But you got to have no fat in it. But you got to have no fat in it.
Right.
Because
95%, yeah.
That fat will go rancid on you.
Yeah, that's why I use chuck roast. There's like no fat in them.
Oh yeah. No, you can ground that shit up, man, if you wanted to. And it works the same.
Gotta grind it. I got to do it. Yeah.
I'm saying if you did, you could do that too.
Let's try that. It's a good idea.
I mean, because like I was never very good at slicing, real thin or like it's supposed to be, right? I never was very good at that. But now I got a slicer that will do it.
Yeah, I got a meat slicer for about $110, $120 on Amazon. Does the job just fine.
Yep, that's what I got. But like I'll use mine, but I use like for EBU or ostrich steaks. If I want like a Philly cheese style cut, right, real thin,
yeah,
I will I'll freeze it, right? Then slice it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I won't be Philly cheese style. I'll do like fucking teriyaki style, Asian flavors in it. And the wok and all that. Dude, that shit's fucking tender as hell.
Oh, yeah.
On it. But sorry, little take you back to Mandela effect. Sorry.
Oh, Mandela effect, yeah.
You want me to keep going? You gonna keep making fucking jerky?
Sorry, we get sidetracked on shit. You know that.
No, I like listening because I've tried it on the Pit Boss and stuff too.
Yeah,
like some of there's like pre-made like salting mixes and shit, which wasn't bad. From their like game and stuff, so it came out okay. It was just too salty. Like
let me pull this up on Amazon. The one I get, the one that Mom and Dad always use for deer jerky. I don't know if Lil Tate, you ever remember Mom and Dad ever sent me deer jerky or not, right?
Yeah, you gave you would give it to me because remember I fed Adrian some of it and didn't tell her it was deer, and she lost her shit
right.
when I told her let
me share this real quick.
Why'd she lose her shit?
Just because she didn't like game meat type stuff.
But it wasn't gamey. This is what I use. This is what Mom and Dad always used right here.
Jerky Works, original. Care for 6 pounds of meat.
Yep. And that works. It works with sliced meat or ground meat perfectly right there. But you can't buy that in the store, or they don't sell it here in the stores anymore. That's why I got to get off Amazon.
Right.
But get back to what Lil Tate said. Like Adrian didn't like fucking, the gaming taste, but it didn't have the gaming flavor to it because there was no fat in it. All that silver skin, all the fat was cut out. It was just pure red meat.
Yeah.
That's why we did our own deer. We didn't send it to a locker at all. We cut our own. I mean, you lose a lot of fucking poundage, right, when you do that. But the meat tastes so much fucking better when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that. They think that fat's good in deer and elk. It's not. It's fucking nasty.
Nope.
That's where they store all their shit at.
Yeah. Well, and everybody thinks, taking their shit to the locker, right? They're going to get, like, if you get summer sausage right or jerky right made, that it's all their same deer. It's not. Because they got to have so much poundage. So they throw it in with other people's deer to get the poundage. And they put it in everything. Silver skin, fucking fat. And that's why the shit don't last long. You got to put it in the refrigerator. Once it's done.
Same thing with bear around here. There's a lot of black bear hunters, and bear is a pretty greasy kind of meat. They got a layer of blubber on them, and if you don't separate that fat out, same thing happens. Bear's delicious, but
I love bear. I haven't had it in a long time, but I love it.
But you got to watch that fat content.
I know, but I mean, last time I had it was out there in Washington State. Last time I had it.
Yeah, so you know what's up.
Yep.
Just goes back to us being self-sufficient again.
Yeah. So I spent a little time in those little mountain towns out there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you did.
Because I dated this one little girl for a while that was from where we always went camping at out there.
I was gonna say, wasn't that like Sultan? Like Sultan out in that area?
Yep.
Oh, dude, Sultan Basin was fucking awesome for shooting. Had them hot springs up in the hills.
Yeah.
Man. That was great stuff.
Yeah,
great fucking mudding area too.
Dude, they had some awesome fucking Jeep trails too, man. That's where I broke my fucking Jeep one time. Had broke the fucking rear end, shattered that motherfucker, right? The pinion, fucking shattered it. Going back to Everett, my front wheel drive couldn't go faster than 40 miles an hour. That was a long fucking drive. That's what I learned. That Jeeps are fucking expensive to fix if you break them.
Yes, it is.
And I'll never have another Jeep ever again because of that. Like, nope.
Well, to catch you up, Mick, we were just talking about like how we're talking about memories, like because we all kind of grew up about the same age, and we're all fucking Gen Xers. So we started off like deja vu. Have you ever had any experience with deja vu?
Oh, many, many a time. Oh yeah. Yeah, I get that a couple times a year, probably.
It's just curious because we were saying, like, if you look at the history when I was pulling it up, they recognized it back in like 400 AD. They described it, and then about 1400 years later, they actually coined the term in like 1860, deja vu itself. and then it kind of goes to like mental things and shit like that. But we jumped on, the Mandela effect because, like deja vu, and we were going through them, and you know what it is.
Yeah, so when your mind convinces you things were one way when they were actually the other.
Yeah, we were talking about like Luke, I'm your father, like from Star Wars and shit.
Yeah, it's like, no, I am your father. Yeah.
Well, we do have some comments on our live, right? From a guy I went to high school with, Bishop.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm a firm believer in parallel universe. Then he goes, I'm a true believer in the Mandela effect. I have a weird shit happen through the years. In fact, I think that effect has to do with time travel, going back, stopping, so from happening, which would change reality in your brain and eyes at the moment's notice as past is being altered. Then he goes, I believe that this is the rapture. It's time travel disrupting, correcting the past in which people and things disappear here in the present. Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't be far off because, when we talked about Tesla and Trump's uncle taking, technology and the time travel thing came up.
Yep.
And then you had those 2 books come out that show Barron Trump.
Yep.
I wish I could remember the name of it.
Yep. Tell you what, man, Tesla was doing some really spooky shit before he died.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the government wanted it, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think the body wasn't even cold before they raided his place and carted all his research off.
Yep.
Yeah. We were talking about it, too. They turned off his funding because he wanted to give free electricity to the world.
He made the Wardenclyffe Tower, and
J.P. Morgan was funded it, and he goes, because J.P. Morgan was in the energy business, right? Electrical business. Nope, can't do that. Fuck you.
And Westinghouse pulled the funding after Edison smeared him with, remember when they electrocuted the elephant with AC current?
To discredit AC, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, hell, J.P. Morgan, man, he said, where's the meter?
Yep.
That's why he wouldn't fund him. They couldn't attach a meter to it.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched it. I would love to go visit the Wardenclyffe Tower area. I would love to go visit there. I would.
Yeah. Yeah, Ravencliff is crazy because it's right by Niagara Falls.
I mean, you got to be a big nerd like us to fucking, like this shit.
Well, Tesla also said the secrets to the universe are the numbers 3, 6, and 9. And if you understand 3, 6, and 9, you can do anything.
Yeah.
He never actually explained what he meant by that, but he did say that.
Well, it's probably in his paper somewhere. Probably.
And you know what a good movie is? Have you ever watched The Prestige with Hugh Jackman?
I've heard of it. It's the Magicians, right?
Yeah, and Nikola Tesla's like he builds a transporter for the magician Hugh Jackman. It's got Edward Norton in there too. And he's transporting him himself, right? But every time he does it, he leaves a version of himself behind. So when he transports, it's a new version of him, right? But the other version that's still in it, he has to drop in like a case and kill himself. So it's a very interesting and twisted magic trick that's actual, like really like real for them. Like it's really happening. And Tesla builds it. Yeah, this is in a movie.
Is it a good movie? I've seen it before.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good movie. There's a lot of twists and turns in there.
Okay.
Because they're all showing the dedication it takes to be like a magician.
Right.
Like the links you'll go through to do the tricks and things like that and keep them secret. And I don't want to give too much away for the movie. And if anybody out there has watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it is a really well-made movie. The transporting part, I got it, but the core of the story is really good. And Edison's in there too, like Edison's men, like the Pinkertons were, and how they're raiding his work. They're showing him people raiding him, and there was Edison doing it.
Yeah. Edison was a genius. He really was. But he wasn't exactly ethical in his dealings with Tesla.
Well, he also wasn't the one that fucking invent the light bulb either. Someone else did. He just stole it. The idea.
So they say. So they say.
You know.
And they said the same thing about Tesla on the radio too.
Yep.
Yeah, well, they finally did the right thing, though. They said that Marconi invented the radio, but he was just leapfrogging off of Tesla stuff. And that I think it wasn't long ago, like a decade ago, maybe a little longer, they finally acknowledged Tesla is the inventor of the radio and not Marconi. So at least Tesla got that.
But I mean, I love watching History Channel because they do shows about that shit all the time.
Oh, yeah. If you really want to get into some interesting stuff, look up a guy named Graham Hancock. He's on the Joe Rogan podcast all the time. And this guy, people think he's a crank, but the more you watch him, you're like, you know what?
He's got a series out on Netflix called.
He's got several, yeah.
It's his newest one, like Undiscovered Civilizations, and he did one in America. His newest one's America. I haven't finished it yet, but it's pretty good. Like we talked about before, they also, so kind of like off subject, they also found some hidden structures under the pyramids that are like towers underground.
I just saw that today. Somebody
sent
that.
Did you see that? Yeah. And they look like they're batteries, constructed batteries. And that's what has been like Graham and those guys have talked about is the way that the King's Chamber and everything's set up was a chemical chamber
for hydrogen.
To produce electricity and hydrogen because they found chemical remnants on in there.
Yeah, but they've also found evidence too that ancient people had electricity too from the pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Baghdad batteries. You remember hearing about those?
Oh yeah, the Baghdad batteries, which they work. I mean, they have low voltage, but it works in that small idea.
Yeah.
They think they used it for electroplating.
Yeah.
Is what they did.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
They're finding out a lot, from Egypt, but they're, same thing with the Grand Canyon. They keep a lot of that stuff hidden.
Well, the Grand Canyon, that's why I got to finish that book, that America is the New Old World, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at those fucking shit, Grand Canyon, right? South America, right? Dude, that shit's older than fucking pyramids are.
Oh yeah.
Where they say Egypt was at. Actually, some people think it's on the Mississippi somewhere because of all the fucking structures that they found.
Mm-hmm.
Because right off on the East St. Louis, right on the Illinois side of St. Louis, dude, they got fucking pyramids there. A lot of people don't know that.
What's also unusual is you see a lot of the same stuff popping up in Southeast Asia, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Central and South America. You see a lot of the same deities, a lot of the same sort of keystones that keep megalithic constructions from shifting. You see a lot of the same type of step pyramids and ziggurats and things like that. I mean, a lot of this shit is very much connected. And the theory that I have, and I don't think it's so much a theory, is just a fact that hasn't been concretely proven, is there was a seafaring people, and I think we were more or less one people at one point that circumnavigated the globe and built this shit everywhere. I think it was like a monoculture where we all kind of did the same thing. And one of the evidences for that is you've got these river and lake boats the Incas used and they're made of tule reeds, right? And the shape of them, they look like Viking longboats, even though these things have never, ever, ever, ever seen an ocean. And they asked, some experts like, hey, what do you think about this boat, given the way the bottom and the front and all that is built? And this guy was a boat builder. He's like, this is for seafaring. Like this, if I was to design an ocean boat, this is how I would build it. So you got South American, Central American Indians building boats in the same configurations as the Greeks, the Phoenicians, and the fucking Vikings. Are you trying to tell me that our civilizations aren't all connected at some point, like 10,000 years ago?
And also, too, before then, when the continents were all together, we all mingled with each other, too.
Yeah, Pangea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Yeah. And also, too, I was watching on Discovery Channel, or History, might have been History Channel, one of the shows, right? This guy was trying to find out what the first people ate, right? That came across the land bridge from Russia to Alaska, right?
Yeah.
And he discovered that they was eating, kelp, all that, because there was abundance of seafood right there. Kelp was easy to get, right? Everything.
Sure.
So that proves that our people was fucking seafaring too, or on the water.
Yeah.
Well,
And you know
well,
what's funny?
them.
I was watching a video on the Necronomicon, and they're talking about different, deities. Yeah. But one of the big ones that came up was like the Nagas, the snake people when we were talking about reptiles. And you see a lot of that when you're talking about Southeast Asia. They have those sculptures that have been shown of snake people. And that's what they were talking about in that. So it's very interesting that people have sculptures, and the way that the book describes them is being like followed by people. So, there's lots of crazy things that just, that tie together. Yeah, I mean, causation isn't correlation. So,
I mean, everything we've been taught in school on who founded the New World Right is fucking wrong. Plain and simple. We all know it.
Yeah.
Because we all know there's evidence of the Vikings being in North America long before Christopher Columbus. And we know that the people from Russia came over in Alaska, right? And all the way down the fucking West Coast before Christopher Columbus did.
Yeah, because look at the Siberian people. They're like Inuit, that came across, and that's who's up north in Alaska.
Yeah, that's where the Eskimos come from. Right there.
Yeah.
Got them migrating south and forming new societies all the way down into, North America. They don't look.
And also Mexico too. Well, now is Mexico too.
Yeah, true.
Oh
yeah, all the way
like
down.
the Aztecs, right? Some people believe like the Mayans and all that shit, right? Or Aztecs come from Utah. Some people do. That was their homeland, but they went south. That's why they brought Montezuma's gold when the Spanish was trying to get it back to Utah or that area. Somewhere in that area.
Yeah, it used to happen all the time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
El Dorado.
Yeah, that's where Blind Frog Ranch is getting close. I think solving it. Because there's shit from Mayan area in Utah on their ranch.
Well, remember National Treasure? The second one was about El Dorado, and weren't they up in New Mexico or Utah in that movie when they were searching for El Dorado? I'd have to look again.
With Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
No, it was fuck. That was the Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore.
No, I know, but that was the key of that was a piece.
Yeah. And where they found the fucking temple, the pyramid of gold, all that city of gold. Yeah. Which it's kind of funny how they built Mount Rushmore where they did too. It's kind of funny on that. But I also like getting back to the Grand Canyon. That area is a no-fly zone. After one, I can't remember the guy's name. This has been back, 30s or something like that, maybe the 40s, where this fucking researcher found shit that was Egyptian in the Grand Canyon. And then all of a sudden, when he reported, here comes the government. And now it's fucking no fly zone, no nothing. You can't go in there no more.
Well, I mean, look at the structures that are in Machu Picchu, Peru. And then you bounce them structures off of stuff you find everywhere else. I mean, is it inconceivable these people found their way north? Of course they could have. They probably did.
Now, Nick, do you ever watch the Y-Files on YouTube?
Well, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Dude, you'll get hooked if you do. If you like this shit. I know you like this shit. You'll get hooked on it. Because Lil Tate turned me on the Y-Files. I started watching. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he does a lot of legit research for this group.
I mean, and some of it is, bullshit, right? And he'll say it too. But there's some things that can't be explained. And he'll say, yeah, I can't debunk this shit right here. Because a lot of us, we are, a lot of people call us conspiracy theorists, right?
Well, we are.
A lot of shit that we fucking say has came true. More so than what the fucking left media wants to say.
Well, the fact of the matter is, dude, you call people conspiracy theorists, but the thing is, if people see one thread of information and they don't know where that thread goes, they're going to want to know because people are inherently curious, right? And so if the government, the Smithsonian, and the Vatican weren't hiding so much shit, you wouldn't have conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Well, that gets back to what the Smithsonian did with the giant bones that that been found across this nation. Yeah, the giants. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing
all the way from out west to the Midwest, in Indiana area, Ohio area.
Yeah.
They
had red. A lot of them had red hair.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it wasn't just that they were, huge. The bone knit in 4 places, not 3. Yep. They were genetically different from us.
Yeah. Well, that's because they were part of the original Nephilim.
Nephilim, yeah. Yep. That's a whole different rabbit hole that I have gone down many, many a time.
Well, we talked about that because we got into it too, because when the flood happened, we all know that then all the giants did not get killed. They went underground. That's what they did.
Not sure how that went, but yeah.
But that's why you had the red-haired giants, right? Some people call it folklore, right? But dude, there's been Native American tribes that have seen it. There's one woman, can't remember where it's at. Dude, she has fucking hair from the giants, the red hair.
Well, there's a whole tribe of Indians back in the day that they told the white settlers that they were getting terrorized by these giants that would kill them and eat them all the time. So they finally hatched a plan. They forced them into this cave and burned them out and suffocated them.
And that's what I'm talking about, because the granddaughter of one of the citizens did that. That shit was passed down, and they got the hair.
But then they went into the cave and they found the skeletons. It wasn't like it was bullshit. Like, no, here are like 12-foot tall skeletons.
Yeah, they all banded together. That's what they did. All the Indians, white settlers banded together.
Yeah, so I mean, this was like archaeologically confirmed that there were giants living in this cave, and the Indians told them where they were.
Yeah, but yet the fucking Smithsonian and all that wants to deny it too.
Yep.
But I would love to go into the Vatican. Yeah, but I know that would never happen. I would love to see their archives. I would.
Yep. I'd find somebody fluent in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew and be like, you motherfuckers, we're going on a little field trip. You're going to read what I put in front of you.
Because that right there will confirm if they have the chronovisor about alternate realities, all that time travel, everything.
Yep, that was the one I was getting ready to say, is the chronovisor.
Yeah. I would love to go. I'd love to fucking look at the chronovisor and see what really killed the dinosaurs. I still think it wasn't the fucking meteor that killed them.
No, I think it was the flood.
Could have been.
I think it's a flood because they found fossils with human and dinosaur footprints within proximity of each other on the same strata at the same level. Alexander the Great, and when his men went through India, they spoke of dragons there. No place else.
Yep.
All right. Then you got, St. George and the dragon. St. George slaying the dragon. You've got the Chinese zodiac, which is strangely 11 creatures that exist and one that doesn't, and the one is a dragon. I mean, you've got the English, which called it worm. You've got the Chinese, which called it lung. You have all these disparate cultures that have nothing to fucking do with each other historically, and they all came up with the same creature. Yeah. You go on and tell me the odds of that shit.
I believe in the folklore because, like you said, it was just like Native Americans, all that through all different continents, right? They say the same fucking thing. They do. And getting back on that, I'm going to share this picture. Dude, they used the woolly mammoth DNA, put it in fucking mice. This is what came up right here. They made a woolly mouse. And they're trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. That's what they're trying to do. The scientists need
awesome.
They need to leave that shit the fuck alone. That's what they need to do. They didn't learn from Jurassic Park with the dinosaurs, right?
I don't know, man. There's a part of me that really wants to see where this goes.
But think about it. Woolly mammoths, right? They're fucking bigger than a fucking elephant. Or they?
Oh yeah, they're massive, they're huge.
Okay, you introduce that into fucking society, right? What the fuck is that gonna do? Just think about all of those dumbass tourists in Yellowstone with the bison, right?
Yeah,
get trampled, gored, right?
Well, it's their own dumbass fault for fucking with a bison. I mean,
just think if these fucking same people see a woolly mammoth, right? They bring it back. Dude, they're going to be tourists fucking goring on their tusk.
They want to pet it.
Yeah.
Well, hell, you ever seen one of them videos of elephants like just rolling people in India?
Yeah.
Dude, pissed off elephant man, you got no chance.
I know.
Now imagine it's about 2,000 pounds heavier.
Yeah, because they were talking about introducing it to use woolly mammoth meat. That was part of the CRISPR program, working with it to try. That's why they're doing it on the mice.
But they actually did recreate mammoth meat too.
Yeah,
they actually did, but no one's tested it yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd volunteer for that shit, man.
Woolly mammoth steak from the Flintstones.
Mammoth jerky? Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it might be good, right? It might be.
Why wouldn't it be?
Now,
there's a Mandela effect on the Flintstones too.
Yeah.
Oh, do tell.
Hold on, I don't know if they have it, but it was spelled with like 2 T's, I think. Sorry, you guys can keep going while I look at this. Not to go off topic, but when you said the woolly mammoth shit, I was like, I remember.
I had to share that because I saw it on the fucking news, right? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You dumb motherfuckers.
Well, I mean, there's also the part, that's kind of tough that they haven't quite figured out yet. They can clone like Dolly the sheep. They can't make them. They can't make them live very long, and they're sterile. They can't really reproduce. So the first thing you'd have, you couldn't just clone a bunch of mammoths for meat. You'd have to make one that was genetically viable enough to be healthy and reproduce.
And that's where they can take the elephants, right? Splice in that DNA in woolly mammoth and create one and see what it does. Because an elephant is because
that's the Mandela of the Flintstone. Sorry. Okay. 1 T and then 2 T's.
So I remember the 1 T. I'm sure there's people out there that remember the 2 T's.
I only remember 1.
Yeah, I do too.
Because it was on Flintstones vitamins and shit.
I honestly don't remember. God, it's been so long since I've seen it. I don't actually recall that one way or the other. Which one was it? 1 or 2?
I remember 1.
I remember 1 too.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's people older than us out there that probably do remember 2, if there was 2.
Could be.
Yeah.
Still an interesting question, though. It's like remember what was it? Fruit of the Loom. Did it have a cornucopia or did it not?
Hold on, I'm going to pull it up right now because we
talked about that after you left.
We were talking about.
Yeah. Because I remember the Capricorn being all there, growing up.
Yeah.
So 1 second, I'll pull it up. Ding
ding right here. So the cornucopia is not the real one, right?
No, yeah, the cornucopia is not the real one.
Well,
the one without it is what they claim is the real one.
I'm gonna call bullshit what they say, right? Because I remember the cornmeal being on there, on the package, growing up.
Yep. Me and my brother talked about the same thing. He's like, that bitch had a cornucopia on.
Yes, it did.
But then where'd they all go, though? I mean, wouldn't there be some kind of vintage fucking? Wouldn't have somebody found one with a cornucopia and say, yes, it was like this back in '85?
Not if in the parallel universe, like your friend was saying.
Yeah,
we could have all switched into here.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't have any evidence of here.
Yeah,
only a memory of what we remember.
And some of those logos that's on the tags, right? Back in the day, they didn't last either. So if you did have a vintage T-shirt from that time, you might not be able to read it on the tag. Or you remember because that had the fucking tags that people cut off too, or ripped off.
Here's another one we grew up with, Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
I don't remember having 2 O's in the bench.
No, I had 1 O.
No, I remember having 2.
Curious George.
Yep.
I do remember him not having a tail.
But I remember him having a tail too. There's certain books out there he has a tail. Yes, he does.
Well, I know, but I'm saying
Yeah.
I don't remember a tail.
Yeah. I mean, I remember tail and no tail. I'm like, what happened to the tail, right? Especially on the cartoon. The cartoon did not have a tail, but the books had a tail, if I remember correctly.
You know, I never had Curious George books as a kid, so I don't remember one way or the other.
Oh, I love Curious George, though, man.
Well, you kind of look like him.
I know.
Shazam's the big one too, with Sinbad.
Right.
I remember.
Shazam was
I
Shaq,
remember.
right? Wasn't Shazam Shaquille O'Neal?
No,
No.
Sinbad.
Sinbad. Kazam was Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Shazam was Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
No, it was Sinbad.
Sinbad was the first one.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now they've redone Shazam, right? You know, like a movie, right? 2019, it's a white guy.
Sorry, I was wrong. Shazam is the new one. Sorry, it was Shaq Shazam.
Yeah, he was right. Shaq, yeah.
Kazam.
oh, Kazam.
Kazam,
Kazam. That was
All
a
right.
terrible movie too.
Well, it had Shaq in it. How good can it be?
He did that iron like what was it? The iron like fucking John Henry type thing.
Yep.
Berenstein Bears was another one.
Yep.
I remember it being Berenstain with the I.
Yep.
And that's what a lot of people are saying. I remember an E. I don't remember an A.
Which
What was another?
I wish I still had
This
those
is
old
what we
books.
were on here. Oscar Mayer, like
Yep.
all of us eating bologna back in the day. I don't remember it being an A. I remember it being an E.
Yeah. But I'm sure when it first came out, it had an A probably when it first came out.
I may have. I mean, the Wienermobile's showing an A.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Location in New Zealand.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this one.
And I ended up in New Caledonia up there at one point. We stopped to take on some supplies, and we were there for like 6 hours, and we had like 4 hours of liberty. Interesting little place.
Yep.
I always remember it being down here. I don't remember it ever being up north higher.
Yeah, I've never actually paid attention to it one way or the other.
Yeah, but if you look at the real old maps, right? Dude, I mean, if you believe the flat earth shit, right? The map that we've been trained to believe is not correct. You know, so.
Yeah, proportion size is off.
Yeah. What's Mickey Mouse? Suspenders or no suspenders?
Yeah. And Steamboat Willie.
That's
I don't
Steamboat
remember
Willie,
him
yeah.
having suspenders.
They made suspenders for him after they renamed him Mickey.
I don't remember.
That's when they was building fucking Disneyland out there in California, out there in Anaheim.
Yeah.
So Looney Tunes always had a U. I always remember. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember that one being a U in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was melodies, it was songs.
Merry Melodies, yeah.
But there's also, if you look up too, you can find the Looney Tunes with the O's too. You can do that.
It's just very interesting. You know, there's so many things, you know, going back childhood memories and.
Now, bring that back up a little, Tate, about the Jiffy.
Oh, the Jif and the Jiffy.
Yeah. Because I remember it being, Jif, right?
Yeah, so do I.
Now I remember Jiffy popcorn because that was the one.
Yeah, Jiffy popcorn, yeah.
You get it in the metal plate with a tin foil and you put it on the oven.
Yeah.
I remember Skippy peanut butter, but I don't remember Jiffy either.
I remember Jif, but
yeah, it was always Jif, yeah.
But that popcorn was fucking awesome. It had the metal handle on it. Shit, you just fucking roll back on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and they still make it to this day.
Well, if you ever watch Food that Built America, they did an episode on how Jiffy Pop came to be, how it came to be.
This neighborhood.
I watched Mr. Rogers because Grandma watched Mr. Rogers, and I remember In the Neighborhood.
Yes, me too.
Well, and there's a
This
thing,
neighborhood.
and there's a conspiracy theory out there that Mr. Rogers was a badass in the military. He was covered in tattoos. That's why he always had long,
Yeah.
long sleeves on.
Yeah, they had his full sleeves and shit.
That was it. Bob
I like
Ross.
Mr. Rogers. It was always fun.
He was a drill instructor. Bob Ross was.
Yep.
Yeah, Bob Ross's story is funny as hell, dude.
Yeah.
I've
That's why he
never,
started painting.
I've never listened to his story. Bob Ross's, I haven't.
Oh, dude. He said that when he was in the Air Force and he was a drill instructor at one point, and he said he looked forward to getting out of the military, and he vowed to never yell at anybody again because he was tired. He didn't like yelling at people, but it was his job. And so he's like, you know what? When I get out of the military, he's like, I'm never yelling at anybody ever again. And that's kind of the beginning of where the Bob Ross we know was. And then he was getting regular haircuts, right? He's trying to make it in painting. He was pretty poor, didn't have a whole lot of money.
Yep.
And so he says, you know what? This perm thing is getting pretty popular. I'm just going to perm my hair. That way I ain't got to get it cut. It'll stay styled and I can save some money. And then when he had permed hair, he made it big and it became his look. And he's like, well, I guess I'm doing this now.
Well, did they make a movie about that?
I don't know. Not sure.
Maybe. I know there was a conspiracy behind him too, that all of his paintings show the location of bodies he had buried.
I've heard that.
I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard that one.
I was like, what? Where did something like 3 different bodies or some shit like that? It's pretty interesting. But this one finishes out with the alternate realities like we were talking about in the quantum theory type stuff.
Yep.
Where this stuff's coming from. And we were talking about Sliders and Quantum Leap, old shows from the 80s and 90s talking about this stuff. So it makes it very interesting to see.
So of course, Family Guy and Rick and Morty just kind of ran with the whole idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of the shit that we fucking watch, they're trying to tell us something, I think, anyways.
Yeah, what do they call that? Synchronicity, when the fabric of life shows you similar things kind of coincidentally. There's really no coincidences, and when you see a coincidence, you probably ought to start paying attention.
Yep. Exactly, though.
It's interesting shit. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And when you start looking for coincidences, you start finding more than you'd normally notice. And that's when things get really creepy.
I'm glad you like this kind of shit like we do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because most people, they don't think about this or like watching this shit.
Dude, I am so far down the fucking rabbit hole. I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
I never went down the rabbit hole until I got retired. Once I got retired, I had all the time on my hands. I'm like, fuck it, let's go down the rabbit hole, people.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that didn't make there's a whole lot of things that didn't make much sense to me even as a kid, right?
Yep.
And I couldn't wrap my head around certain things and why things were the way they were. And the official explanation really didn't satisfy me. But I had that thing that all 10-year-old kids do. It's like, well, these people obviously know a lot more than me. They're adults. They're educated. I'm just a dumb kid. What the hell do I know? And so I figured that I just wasn't smart enough to kind of put it together, and somebody else had already had it, locked down. And it took me until adulthood to realize, you know what? Half of this shit's wrong, and these motherfuckers don't have any more clue than I do.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but holy crap, man. Some of this stuff is just blatant.
Yeah, we were talking about that for Eric Von Daniken. Charity of the Gods was just nothing but a question, but questioning everything that he was being taught, and being Jesuit in school. And it was like, wait a minute, some of this doesn't make sense. And literally that book is nothing but open-ended questions, during the 70s. And it got a lot of push, and then it got a lot of heat. And they've turned him into a fucking kook, crazy. Because that's the easiest thing you can do is label somebody as crazy, and then your theories go out the window.
Well, it's like with Graham Hancock, they did the same thing to him, man. Call him a kook and a crank. And whenever I hear a very articulate, intelligent person making sense that everybody else says is a quack, it just makes me want to listen to him more.
Yep.
Because, I mean, you got a whole bunch of, careers and egos and legacies on the line, I mean, the idea behind science is you come up with a theory. It seems to be pretty good, but as you progress, your theory gets broken. It's not right. You go on to the next thing. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't it. Then what is it? And to truly embrace science, you have to understand that what you spent your whole life building may be broken one day, probably will be broken one day, but you have to have the satisfaction of at least saying, you know what? I moved science along, and at least I was able to show them what not to do, right? But right now, there's funding, there's institutions, there's educations, egos. I mean, you saw it in what was it? Goodwill Hunting, remember? He's sitting there showing how to do this equation, and this older guy's like, no, that's not right. And he's like, yeah, it's right. And this other mathematician's like, I'm sorry, sir, you're a brilliant man, but he's got the answer that you couldn't get. And this dude just storms out all fucking pissed off, right? Because he knows his life work was for fucking nothing because this kid coming out of the woodwork and proving him wrong. And that's science. That's discovery. That's the way things are, man. And the
that kid he was a janitor, wasn't he? If I remember correctly.
Was that? He's a janitor.
He was a janitor.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
And human egos, man, they just can't fucking handle being wrong. And so they gatekeep, and it holds all of humanity back.
That's the key thing is the gatekeeping. Is the gatekeeping to keep us from going too fast, or are they gatekeeping it because of their egos? It's kind of like, Elon Musk coming out with AI, like, hey, we're going too fast with it, and you're starting to see that shit. And you're like, well, man, this could be like iRobot type shit coming out.
Well, they didn't watch fucking Terminator. They did not watch it.
I started watching Singularity with John Cusack, and it's kind of like a cheap version of it, but it's pretty good about AI. And the name of the AI is Kronos. So
see, that's before John Cusack was a piece of shit in my book.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, what'd he do now?
Oh, he's always running his mouth and leftist type shit. Same thing. Nothing new.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I was afraid to ask. I kind of liked him too.
So celebrity, getting told by his handlers, like, you're going to go out and say this. So, which is his agents.
And that's why, like Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, and some other ones started Angel Studios.
Yeah, Roseanne did. I think Roseanne's in on that too, right?
I think.
Yeah. I think Stephen Baldwin should get in there too.
Oh yeah. Not Alex, but Steve. I like Stephen though.
Oh yes. No, Stephen's a great guy.
But did y'all see Alex Baldwin get fucking humiliated by his wife on TV?
Gillespie, stop. I'm talking. You're not talking.
Yes.
Dude, that.
Oh, it was the other guy, Jim Caviezel. He's the one that did The Passion with Mel Gibson.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah. I was looking it up because I remember his initials being JC, and they talked about the scene where he's doing the crucifixion, and it got fucking struck by lightning.
I heard about that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I still never have watched that yet.
It's pretty rough, dude. Like, it's pretty goddamn graphic.
Dude, I'll tell you, man. I watched it twice, and only twice. Last time was probably, a year or two ago. Same effect. I mean, the movie ends, and you're not really freaked out, but you sit there and you really think for a while. Like, it's not one of them movies that makes you want to throw up or nothing. It's just you can't talk for like a half hour afterward. You just sit there and stare at the wall and think.
That Sound of Freedom, I haven't finished it. I watched the first 15 minutes of it, turn it off, and I haven't tried watching it again.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
It's nope. I can't take it. With the very first part when they're finding, all the child stuff, and it's like, nope, can't do it. Nope.
Yeah, I heard about it. Never watched it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I've never watched it either. It's on Angel Studios.
Yeah. It was out on it was one off the old a separate network too. I think Prime or one of those.
Yeah.
But it was hidden. You know what I mean? It wasn't promoted on there, but you could find it.
Sure.
It was kind of like how YouTube shadow ban stuff. They're not going to promote it, but you got to find it.
Yep.
That's like
Yeah,
us on
happens all the
YouTube.
time.
We've been I think we've been shadow banned on YouTube ever since when they banned one video. Actually took it down.
Wait, you're on YouTube too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got the link on the Pfeiffer's Facebook page in there for that Gold Shellback 991.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, they banned one of the episodes.
What was in that episode?
We was talking about COVID and how, autism could be linked to, or could be linked to fucking, vaccines and all that shit.
Oh, yeah. The
like
COVID
that.
stuff, they banned that shit right off. Yeah.
Oh, now they don't, though. But that was before the election happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was right after the election happened, but before Trump came back in office.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, we got that one. I posted it on Facebook on my page, and then Rumble too.
Yeah, because we were going live on YouTube.
Yeah, we was live on YouTube.
Okay.
But now, like on YouTube, when we post stuff after we go live on Facebook, you upload it, then our numbers have dropped quick because they're not promoting it like they was when we first started.
Shit.
Yeah, and the Wi-Fi also went through the same bullshit too, because there are certain subjects they talked about that YouTube's like, nope, fuck you.
Yeah, he even explains that he had to go into compilations to break the algorithm.
Yeah. Which I would love to know how to do compilations, right? Put some of our shit together, right? Like that.
Yeah. Edit it, splice it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a whole crew though, Yeah.
Well, hell,
he's been in the business though. He's been like a radio jockey and everything else for a while.
Well, and he worked in DC too.
Yeah.
Doing that shit for like politicians and shit like that.
Yeah, and AJ's been around for a minute.
Yeah. But Mick, I'm telling you, if you watch it, you'll get hooked. Especially with Hecklefish, right?
Hecklefish?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you know what? I remember that. I have listened to this guy before. I remember, the fish that talk shit back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have seen his stuff. Yeah, okay.
Be right back. I'm going to show you something.
I forgot what it was called, but yeah, I've seen his stuff. He's pretty good.
Yeah, Hecklefish, like they ran a promotion for him for president 2024.
Let me see if I have anything in my history. I watched one of his recently.
Hey, Vic. There you go. Come on. Work.
Okay,
the battery died already. You can't hear him talking.
Oh, you can't?
Nope.
Well, I'm sure on the fucking video you will once we play it back.
True.
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. Actually, I bought this from River because River's like, he's a big Wi-Fi file fan now. He's like, I want one of those. I said, dude, we can have this on the podcast. like a little parrot type deal.
Yes, sir.
See, now you got me. See, now that you mention it, I have watched one of his videos, and I've watched it recently. Like, now I'm trying to fucking go through my history and find out which one it was.
Now, the latest one that he had, the weather weapons, that's why we did one. You talked about weather weapons last couple episodes?
Yeah, no, this is it right here. Yeah, weather weapons and worse, Tesla's stolen tech, and yeah.
But he also does some ones about fucking Mount Shasta and all that shit too.
Mount Shasta's really good.
Yeah.
Yep. So yes, I have seen his stuff.
Yeah, and he does cryptid shit. I mean, he does it all.
I'm a little on the fence about cryptids.
I believe they're real.
I believe some are real.
Because, I mean, the Indians, the Native Americans can't be wrong on their folklore. Because it's across the fucking nation, right? Like Thunderbirds, Bigfoots, all that.
And I've also read a lot on the Mothman. I can't believe I fully believe that Mothman existed.
Yeah.
My favorite cryptid, I've been to the Point Pleasant Museum.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck,
I'll have to upload my pictures at some point.
Oh, I'd love to go there, man. I love the Mothman. I've got the book, The Mothman Prophecy, which is quite different than the movie.
Oh God, the movie just fucking destroyed that book.
I never watched the movie.
That book was
yeah, it's got Richard Gere in it and shit, and it just takes everything out of context. Like they're trying to debunk the story with the movie, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I go through Point Pleasant when I go to Indiana from here.
Nice.
So
yeah, right here.
John Keel, there's a letter. I've got the senator's letter from one of the Kennedys talking to John Keel. So, and his report, his actual report is in there, on display, and a few other things from the Silver Bridge, and pictures and maps and shit. It's not a very big museum, but it's fun. It's cool. It's very interesting if you're into that, So
I want to get a picture with that stainless steel statue they made. That's cool.
I don't know if it'll come up on screen. Yeah, I took my oldest son because he's into it too. He likes the Mothman. So we made it a trip on the way back to see it. So we took our time. It's a nice little town. I mean, it's not very big, little spot. It is West Virginia, so.
Sure.
Let's see, let me dig through here.
Yeah, did you hear the banjos of West Virginia?
No. But I did get a little worried though.
See, here in Missouri, down south of Missouri, especially all the rivers that people fucking float on, right? There's a saying, can you hear the banjos? If you hear banjos, paddle faster.
Man, I had that happen in Arkansas, dude. When we were traveling across, we went into a gas station, and obviously we don't have an accent. Yep. So as soon as we started talking, like everybody around the counter just like looked at us, and I'm like, we need to go. We need to get out of here now. Like, we need to go.
Yeah. See, I've never had that problem anywhere I go down, south or anything.
Yeah, because your fucking accent right there. See, when Mick gets back, it'll show up. Yep. So, but yeah, that's probably the funniest one I've had going across country anywhere is Arkansas, old Arkansas.
Yep.
Yeah, but like we just stopped in the piss and get some gas and like a snack. Yep. And it was, man, like the counter and everybody just. And then as we were getting ready to leave, fucking truck pulled up. Remind me like Black Sheep, like when the kids pull up with El Camino.
Show Vic that picture you just brought up.
Can you wait? Hold on. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, we got.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, that's one of my favorite ones too. I love that cryptid.
Oh yeah.
So.
And we're going to be doing more episodes on cryptids too in the near future too.
Yeah, we need to dig and actually kind of script up a little bit better.
We try to script up, but we never follow anything if we try to script anyways.
That's true.
Because we found out that scripted shit didn't flow as well with us.
No. Too much ADHD.
Yep.
Too much ADHD.
Maybe we can get good at it. Who knows?
ADHD in the room.
Hey, Mick, did you ever get a deck of Cards Against Humanity?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I got one for y'all if you got them out.
Nope.
All right.
I got to dig it out.
I got mine right
here.
Holding
the black card?
Well, I mean.
Yeah, I'm holding the black card.
All right.
So I still got all mine out from last time. I didn't leave. I was like,
what do you got? You got a black card or what?
I got a black card.
All right. Let me pull out a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Whatever Mick's ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right. Attention, Target shoppers. Unfortunately, we will be closing early due to
I can go either way with this one and make it really bad.
Do it.
Barack Obama.
Bad bitches with fat asses.
The other one I had was white privilege.
All right. You see, son, baseball is like blank, don't overthink it. Did we freeze up?
Nope. Oh, I think he did.
Little Tate did.
I was going to let him go first because he went first last time.
All right. What do you got for that one, Nick?
Showing everyone my little dumper.
Yeah, his internet might have froze up on.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if he'll come back here in a minute.
We'll stick a pin in that one until he comes back.
But I think it's a good that's a good way to kind of end everything at the very end too.
Oh yeah, it's like there's a radio show around here called the Men's Room, right?
Uh-huh.
And one thing they have is called the Shot of the Day, where they pick just somebody out of the news that day who had done some crazy shit, and they tell the story about it, and then they all take a shot of tequila, and that's kind of one of their deals they do kind of as a send-off.
Yeah. Well, we have a show kind of like that here in mid-Missouri called the Tom Bradley Show. Like every Friday, they're drinking, have food, everything. There's a little take.
I'm mad. I don't know. My power cord got fucking again. I got to move my desktop out a little bit because I don't know how it gets loose.
All right, little Tate. You see, son, baseball is like blank, don't overthink it.
Say what?
You see, son, baseball is like blank, don't overthink it.
Floating down the Hudson River with other garbage.
The one I pulled was showing everyone my little dumper.
Oh, I forgot I had that one in there. The other one was my bright pink fuckhole.
Damn.
All right. As the mom of 5 red Bucks boys, I'm no longer stranger to blank.
Read that again.
As the mom of 5 red Bucks boys, I'm no longer stranger to
meth.
We're going to go carrying my poop around in a Ziploc bag.
All right. Howdy, neighbor. Couldn't help but notice you're struggling with blank need a hand.
Ooh, executing a hostage every hour.
I like that
one. I'm going to have to go with me arse.
That's 4. We got, 3 more?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Siri. How do I fix
a big black dick?
How good the booty taste?
Next on ESPN2, the World Series of
seeing what happens when you lock people in a room with hungry seagulls.
Pooping and then looking at the poop.
I got a world record here, boys. Hold on, I gotta get the tape.
That's like South Park where Randy takes that monster shit, like sit on the toilet.
Pretty good.
Oh, and he just rises up.
Oh, hot.
God, I laugh every time I see that thing.
All right. What's the most emo?
Licking things to claim them as your own.
Your ass cheeks on my face cheeks.
All right, somebody else start for a black card.
Mick, you want to go? You got any out yet? I got to
Yeah. Let me get these ones back in here. Yeah, I got me a black card. Hang on. Okay. Y'all ready?
Yep.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got blank, hun.
Oh, that's bad.
A cis man playing a trans woman.
Let's see what I got. Hold on, I put my white together. Doo-doo. That's all I got.
Unless you got doo-doo. Hey, man, some people are into that. All right, next one. Okay, so this is a little repetitive, so I'm going to switch over to a different pack. Bear with me for just a moment.
Yep.
There are black ones. There aren't black ones in this one. Gosh darn it.
I need to put a divider in here.
Yeah.
I just got all mine put together in one fucking thing. So
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to just randomly pick a couple from the middle here. All right. You ready?
Yep.
During his midlife crisis, my dad got really into.
Black people.
Fair enough.
Having big dreams, but no realistic way to achieve them.
Dude, I feel personally assaulted here.
I think we all do.
Holy shit, that was 2 on the nose, man. That's it. I'm done. See ya.
Fuck this, I'm out.
All right. Oh, this should be good. And today's soup is cream of.
I don't have a good one for that one. The Underground Railroad.
Cream of the Underground Railroad.
I got the Confederate flag.
Similar vein, different sides, but okay. Okay, this one's a two-stager. Lifetime presents blank, the story of blank.
Oh,
Awesome pictures of planets and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that ain't so bad. I mean, that ain't very good. So, but
That's pretty tame.
This one might get us in trouble. You ready?
Do it.
The Jews eating a hard-boiled egg out of my husband's asshole.
Love it. Das Juden, ja. Okay, this one should be fun. Blank. Kid tested, mother approved.
touching a pug right on his penis.
An unwanted pregnancy.
I'm getting that there was no real right way to answer that one.
Oh, shit.
I'm down to 2
All
left.
right. We got what, 3 left? 2 left?
Yeah, how many you got left, Gilly?
2.
Yeah.
All right. Summer lovin' had me a blast. Blank happened so fast.
The miracle of childbirth.
That was my second kid.
Seething with quiet resentment is what I.
That's also yeah, I can identify with that. Okay, well, why is Brett so sweaty?
Like whatever.
One titty hanging out.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, could be
Depending on
dancing.
homeboy's age and level of inebriation, I can see that.
All right, little Tate, your turn for black cards.
Okay. Let me pull out 7. 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. All right.
Hold on now. Let me pull out 7. I'm disorganized right now.
6.
I got one in here that's gonna fucking might get us in trouble.
Sweet. I like this. Which pack you pulling out of, Gil?
I just put them all together. I mean, I got some from the original Cards of Humanity, right? The Nasty Bundle and all that.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just going to go straight here and pull some white ones out of just the middle of the standard box. 1, 2, 3.
And I haven't even broke out the silver box, the more Cards Against Humanity. I haven't even broke that out yet.
So many.
But I like the Nasty Bundle the best.
I haven't played with anything else other than the white deck. It's going pretty good.
All right. I'll be right back, boys.
Ready?
Refill.
Yep.
What we need to do is make these boxes just big enough for you to get a finger in there to get a couple.
I know, right? They packed it just like tight as they could.
I'm ready, fellas. Whenever you are, let me know.
Yeah, they're. I'm set.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we are locked and loaded and ready to go. Hit me squarely.
All right, ready?
Oh.
Yep.
Holy shit, my video of blank has 10 million views.
Assassinate the president.
Oh, I think you might have me beat.
That's why I said this one gonna get us in trouble right here, people.
Feds, that's allegedly, that's card.
And people, Secret Service, this is just a game right here. That's it. Cards Against Humanity. So
I'll be going after them now.
So if I get a visit from them, you know what?
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. What do you got, Mick?
Vomiting mid-blowjob. Which, you know, the internet today, that might just get 10 million views.
Actually, I've had a girl. I ate shit real sloppy, right? And she fucking gave me a blowjob.
Uh-huh.
And she swallowed that shit. That shit assaulted hell. She puked. Oh, god damn.
So I was driving one time, and we were both pretty little lit, right? Getting some roadhead, and yeah, she gagged on it and puked on my lap when I was driving the car.
Damn.
Yeah,
That'll cause you to crash.
Didn't cause no crash, but boy, man, that was rough.
But roadhead is the best, right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
Designers, for this week's challenge, you must make a dress design for blank.
Tiny titties that say yippee when you touch them.
Well, let's see here. I'd have to go with a micro penis, which, again, kind of relevant these days.
Big Michael Obama.
Oh, I'm not sure how micro his penis is.
Yeah.
Well, that's what was funny about the Target one, because Michelle Obama was stocking that shit.
Yep.
You see that?
Yeah.
All right, next one. Old McDonald had a blank E-I-E-I-O.
Going down on a woman discovering that her vagina is filled with eyeballs and being totally into that.
I'm going to have to go with something tame and reasonable. Opposable thumbs.
That reminds me. That's what reminds me, like Underoo, right? When he got to the boat,
yeah,
dude, he was a virgin. And I was like, "What did your mommy and daddy tell you? That fucking pussy has fucking teeth that's gonna bite you if you stick your little dicky in it."
Yeah.
Same way with Streblo too.
Need to get him on here.
I tried. He just, I don't know what the hell he's doing. So,
all right, ready for the next one?
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
Kids, I don't need drugs to get high. I'm high on
smelling a cum.
Oh, God.
The clitoris.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
The new Chevy Tahoe with the power and space to take blank anywhere you go.
Duckophilia.
These are really tame. The whole enchilada. It's all
I
right.
told you I had the nasty bundle out.
All right. The last one I got is, man, this is bullshit. Fuck blank.
The illusion of a choice in a late stage capitalist society. Yeah.
Critical race theory.
You got it again.
That will do.
All right, better put it up before we get in more trouble than we already are with Gilly and the
dude, when we did that Jew thing, we're already fucked.
Yeah, right.
That's why I said that one. I was like, that was gonna get us in trouble right there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now you're like, God, Secret Service. And the thing that's crazy about it is there's so much going on. They're talking about that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, they are. Absolutely.
With like what we talked about the last time when we played, like there's like politically correct answers going on in here, like in society. And how long has this game been out now?
I don't know.
It's been out for years, hasn't it?
Yep.
Let me look. I'll take a look really quick. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know about it until Rocky said something about it.
Oh, I knew about it because I had friends that had it, but
Yep.
I never got it. You know what I mean? Like played it.
Yep.
Because I didn't really have anybody old enough to play with.
All right, here. Let's see what we got.
It came out in May of 2011, dude.
Damn.
The original version was. So that bitch has been out for a minute.
Yep. I just texted Rocky though, so
Yeah, he must be working hard, man, because
yep.
he ain't made it back or he's had issues. So,
well, I mean, if he's been, I mean, on the fucking whatever he does, right, dude, he's gonna fucking get busy sometimes on that food truck. You know.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially,
you know,
if you're selling burrito tacos, you're gonna get busy.
Oh yeah.
Especially for March Madness.
Yeah.
Hey,
but he said they did pretty good last night for the start of March Madness, though. And my bracket's already fucking blown up because fucking Mizzou got their ass beat by fucking Drake. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? A fucking Division II school beats Division I. But Mizzou played like shit. And I called it at the beginning of the second half. I said, well, Mizzou ain't going to win this one. I called it before the game was over.
Yeah.
You know, because Mizzou is either hit or miss, right, with their team. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. And Kansas got beat by Arkansas last night.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to it.
And Kansas is usually one of the powerhouses in college basketball.
They're usually on the fucking, on the bracket, top 10.
Yeah. Well, like Mizzou, when the Kansas was ranked number 1 in the season early on, Mizzou beat them. But Mizzou hardly ever beats fucking Kansas. You know. But I was shocked, though. But I think this year's going to be a lot of upsets in the brackets. Kind of like that small school in Indiana, Butler. Remember that when they fucking blew up everybody's bracket?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I'm looking through the bracket right now after the first week. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the rest of it, other games because Missouri's out. I was like, fuck it. But that's the way basketball. That's the way basketball that I watch is college. It's Mizzou. That's it.
Oh, Norfolk State's getting killed by Florida.
K-State is?
Yeah, Norfolk State is. That game's on right now. 21-51 in the first.
Ouch.
Yeah. Of course, Duke's back up in there too.
Duke's always in there.
So always Michigan. Trying to see. Gonzaga is back in again too. Arkansas versus Kansas, dude, was a close game.
Yeah, but they still lost to Arkansas, and I would never thought that Kansas would have lost to Arkansas.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because Arkansas really ain't that good. Rocky says, "I'm taking it in order, then I'll get on." So
tell him he's closing us out then.
Oh, he knows.
Apollo Creed style. Ding, ding.
Oh, but I'm sure there's some fucking people that watch. It's like, these motherfuckers are idiots.
I got an Aztec death whistle I could ring us out with.
Oh, fucking sweet.
God, that'd be so fucking loud.
Sweet.
Is that a 3D printed one? Nope. And we might hear it in the replay.
Probably a little loud.
Actually, it didn't come through because you're probably on a filter, your audio filter.
Oh, well,
yeah,
it's
but
really loud and obnoxious, and it sounds like somebody screaming. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but sometimes it comes back on the replay after.
I'll check it. What are we at? Like 2 hours and some change.
Yeah, that's like when I hook up my headphones right to the audio board. There's the sounds that I have that's preloaded on there. Sometimes you can't hear it, but it comes through the fucking, the video, which you won't rewatch it. There's Rocky.
Oh, hey, Rocky.
Give me a second, fellas.
All right.
No. I got to fix something out real quick.
Whoa. His name was Henry this whole time?
Yeah.
You can't be saying that.
I never knew that. I never fucking knew that.
We won't say it again. We might have to edit this part out.
Nah, we don't edit shit out. We don't edit nothing. Fuck it.
What up, Hank?
Hey, what's going on?
That was my old man's fucking nickname.
How did it go? I missed everything, man. I was busy.
Oh, I think it went pretty well. I mean, we kind of got a little off subject there for a little bit.
But you go off.
And then we put a bullseye on for Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, did you guys do that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to try. That's what she said. That's even funnier.
Well, I'll get that ordered. So
yeah, I'll have to get one ordered.
I'll order it next month.
Yeah, next month we'll do that too. Next month.
What is that's what she said.
It's similar to Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
And it's like phrases that have to do with like sexual things or something, and that's what she said, like in The Office.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's freaking hilarious. I played it on the ship. My kids sent me this as a gift when I was on deployment, so I played it with all the chiefs and the Chiefs mess that would play the game. It was fun.
Right. Okay, cool.
So how'd you do, Rocky? Y'all doing good?
We still got another 2 hours, bro.
Yep.
Damn, son.
Yep. All right, Rocky, we're getting ready to end it, so
all right.
take us out.
I'll do it. Ding, 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 ding. Pfeiffer's departing.
And ding. Nick, the death whistle.
Huh?
The death whistle, too, Nick. We're going to try the death whistle.
The death whistle.
Yeah.
Nope, don't hear it, but it might be on the replay.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's got those death whistles. So
that dog fucking definitely noticed it.
Bella.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook, X, and YouTube.